Hello,
YouTube.
YouTube. Hello, everyone, and welcome to. Yeah.
This is the gangster area.
Welcome
Let me
to
just turn my caps
what
sideways.
I would like to be
When I grow up.
a big step up from the crap that we've been. No, it's not crap. It's still going to be a bit of a mess. Don't worry. It's still the same old fucking rat project. That's what I forgot to do. I'll remember to do that next week. It's fine.
Yeah, she called
So-
it a crap project.
Essentially more.
Welcome back, everyone, or welcome for the first time if you're catching this in a VOD or on YouTube. But the people you see on the screen right now are the Rat Project. It's us. It's me, Johnny, also known as Bishop AU. It's Tim.
That's Tim.
It's
Lukey.
it's Lockie.
Thanks.
It's Jordan. And it's Scott. And every Wednesday on twitch.tv/BishopAU, we sit around for 3 hours and play Dungeons and Dragons.
Do we though?
We try to play Dungeons and Dragons. And this week, we are starting our brand new homebrew campaign, delving into my own imagination and no doubt just metagaming the hell out of it. So, we have had a few little issues. Well, no, sorry, we haven't, I have. So basically, I've spent about 4 hours this afternoon getting all this ready, setting up all the new equipment and making sure everything looks spick and span for this brand new campaign. And of course, nothing worked. So that's why my camera looks a little bit weird. I'm using a spare camera. It's fine, don't worry about it. There's also no matte cam tonight because that camera has had to be repurposed. It's really good. It's not like we have about $2,000 worth of cameras to do this little stream that never fucking work. But anyway, it's fine. So, along with, I just feel like I need to, I mean, people probably don't care,
Scream.
but I feel like I need to explain why everything looks a little bit shoddy. I mean, it looks okay, but...
Hey, you didn't even use that cord you asked for.
Team comment wrong hole.
Yeah, I did. I bought two because I'm always
right.
looking for them.
Yeah.
And it didn't work anyway. So.
Do you know if you plug them into each other, you got infinite power?
I don't power
Infinite
shit.
data transfer.
You do.
So,
You don't know shit about it.
shall we? And hopefully the sound's all okay as well, because I haven't had a chance to monitor this sound either, but hopefully that's fine. We are going to delve into our Lightcast campaign. Now, I'm going to have to be a little bit careful when I say the name of the campaign, because unfortunately it was, out of the names that were suggested, my favourite. It is also the closest to another campaign that I'm aware of. So I may end up saying the other one. But anyway, I will try my best not to.
Nightcast?
So,
Darkcast?
It's like
Happy cast?
night cast. As
just
in the other
to
night.
make this first episode a little bit more
I thought mine
awkward and
was
janky than it already is, the printer is not working, which means I haven't really looked. I don't have your character sheets all in front of me, which is something I would like to do. Actually, I could grab my iPad in a second. That'll be fine. I need to go and grab it though. But for starters, let's.
I picked
I really need the
100.
iPad.
What do we do next?
Right into the news.
Brought in. Well, their names aren't right.
I know.
Okay, that's
There's-
why I called him Tim.
A reason for that. Well, there's not a reason for that. It's because I was going to fix it while you guys were introducing yourselves, remember?
Oh, I didn't know you were actually running with that idea.
Well, I have to because I didn't have time to do anything else. So,
Hi, my name's Steve. And
these guys, these names are not, they're not accurate. Get out of here. Get out of here, old names.
did you know my name's Steve and I like the pipe?
All these people are dead.
It's fine. I'm Ice Cube now.
No, you're Ice Pube.
Okay. So, I need to go and grab my iPad real quick, but... I had such high hopes for tonight's stream, and just everything has gone wrong, and I'm about to have a mental breakdown.
I really like your DM screen. If that's a
Well,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
pretty.
It's not finished either,
It
but
matches your eyes.
I just wanted something higher because with you guys sitting off to the side, it's quite easy for you guys to peer through.
And Jordan's just like, oh, that's what we're fighting.
I was only ever looking at the art. It's not like I saw stats.
True.
So
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh, enter.
Whoa.
Enter.
Oh,
I do that all the time. I put shit on my keyboard and I'm trying to do other shit. I'm like, wait, it's working.
awesome. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay.
I just scream enter a lot.
Alexa played Dispatch.
So,
Alexa was turned on, he was gonna kill you.
sorry, I'm just very quickly trying to pull this up on my phone. So
Pulls
you
a
know,
fucking
like,
hammer.
right.
That's it. Oh, I can run pretty quick.
Tim's dead now.
Not his character, just Tim. Ever seen a live murder on Twitch?
I wish. Whoa.
Well, look, if you're really that keen, there is a subreddit called Watch People Die.
No thanks, I'll pass. I was joking.
There's also lively.
I much prefer watch people survive.
Jordan, where did you send your character info, your backstory to? Is that on?
I think I private messaged you on Discord.
I sent it to you
Oh, we
months
meant
ago.
to send that to you.
Yeah.
I wrote it. I genuinely did write it. I just didn't
He's
send
lying.
it to you.
He's gonna write it tonight.
You're all just.
People.
On the plus side, he did write it. He's not lying about that.
You're all. You certainly are people, aren't you?
There's a lot. Like,
Just copy and paste that from the internet.
It's just like random words.
Okay.
I actually did write it.
So.
Send it
I
to
don't
him.
believe you.
Send it on Discord.
I don't know how to do that.
You can.
Copy.
I sent it to you on my phone.
Oh.
So. Harrison.
Yes.
You have spent about probably close to a month on board a small merchant vessel known as the Kestrel.
You're writing this down.
After seeking passage to Tolkalla,
You're the note bitch.
I'm not fucking Kevin. Or whatever his name is.
Kevin.
Kevin was the other name. I changed it. It's Harrison now. It was Kevin at one point.
I like it.
The ship,
I'm now Kevin.
while normally is used to trade supplies and various goods, at the moment its cargo hold is mostly empty, and in its place is a group of people, around a dozen or so various travellers, all headed to Tolkalla. In this time, you may have interacted with some of them, and perhaps another person has sort of been a bit interesting, sort of caught your attention. Tim, if you want to describe your character, and you two can sort of describe what you look like and stuff, while I quickly go grab my iPad because I'm not ready.
I need to remember what I look like actually.
You're the worst. I hate everyone. I hate this game.
I fucking wrote mine.
I don't have Discord on this tablet. You idiot. John, I'm pretty sure I know what I look like.
What the fuck? No.
I nearly have a pompadour.
Yeah, I do.
I remember that.
So, the best thing about this is you guys put your characters on D&D Beyond
Yes.
and had them ready, except when I went in last night to have a look and get prepared, nobody has put, like, descriptions or anything, so...
Yeah, I have.
Have you, though?
Look.
Sam.
So have I.
Okay, maybe I wasn't looking right.
I think you went to appearance instead of characteristics.
Oh, maybe.
Because in
I
appearance,
put mine
it
in
has-
as well.
Alright, I'll take it back. Jeez, no need to
Very
yell.
slightly have put mine in.
I've also put it on here, just but only I can see this.
You're all,
yes.
you're all the worst.
I'm not the worst one.
Why didn't
Information
you
was
tell
ready.
me why didn't you tell me to send it through when I said I wrote a backstory?
Why didn't you just send it through?
Because I didn't know
When you
we
told me
were
that,
meant
when you
to.
said that you wrote a backstory last night,
Yeah.
Johnny's just
it's
like
not, it's
hammering.
not like I
nails
asked
at
for
work.
these characters 3 months ago. It's fine. It's
I told you I
I'm
was
not
gonna-
mad.
Scott created his yesterday.
I know. You're not the only one. It's fine.
Hey, I didn't create mine yesterday.
Don't worry.
At least I
about it.
created mine months ago.
Mine was created months ago. I just didn't have a backstory.
So, Harrison, this middle-aged human man who carries a bit of an out-of-the-ordinary blade, something that you may not have seen before. But, fuck me, I'm so fucking janked up this afternoon.
Jacked up.
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Gotta get that last bit of coke.
I feel like I should have snorted some coke before we started, to be honest. It probably would have made this go a lot better.
Or you should take like 4 Nurofen and chill out.
No,
Maybe.
8 and a beer.
8 and a beer.
That
Okay,
was Panadol.
Did you die after that?
pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Harrison,
Yeah.
this red-skinned tiefling. Are you red-skinned? You didn't put it in here.
Yeah, dude.
Are you
Did
red
you?
skinned?
Yeah, it's down, almost down the bottom. Like dark grey red.
Oh yeah, because I remember you asking what colour you would call dark red.
Yeah. Black crimson.
So this woman who has caught your attention, this old
Oh, God.
red-skinned tiefling,
Waiting for the voice.
who seems to have kept to herself for the majority of the trip, but as the Kestrel etches closer and closer towards the coastline of Tolkala, and as it sits, you feel like you're probably about half a day's travel out of arriving. You felt like perhaps it's a good time to get to know the people that you've sort of got a vibe for now. So, I'm going to do some names on the screen if you two want to introduce your stuff.
I have to remember the voice. Voices are hard.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what version am I going with? It may change.
Same.
I just
Oh, you're an Asmi Bard.
Discord real quick, Johnny.
Not this game.
Voices are hard. Give me a sec. Yeah.
I put 400 on.
He's gonna
What are you
shoot
again?
you so fucking
What?
hard.
Oh, I'm trying to remember what Jordan's character is.
A human.
A human samurai.
Yeah.
Oh, you're.
No, I'm not doing a Japanese accent.
Why not?
I don't know how.
That's
begin
gonna
with.
get so fucking
And
racist
that.
real quick.
What are samurais? What nationality are samurais? It's not racist if you're doing what they are.
African American.
It's stereotyping.
One
it's not
one
racist.
of them was.
Do you know any other nationalities that are samurais?
Yeah.
Are you doing your
the
shit?
one African American?
Samurai Jack.
This is a good conversation between
A
these two
sorta-
characters.
I know, right?
A sort of old human man
It's
sort
hard to
of
talk.
brushes past you and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, friends. I didn't mean to get in your way there. It's okay, young man. Am I interrupting something? You look a little bit tense."
Your voice is terrible. Oh, no, it's fine.
Hey, you're Scottish as well. I'm not Scottish.
I don't really know what I am, but at least I've started a voice now, I guess.
Oh, I hear you guys like Alec is so annoying. Like, yeah.
This is so
You're a
weird.
fucking witch now.
Look, he's still in shock. I'm like a witch doctor warlock.
I'm gonna cry. I'm genuinely gonna
That's
cry.
right.
Oh.
Yeah. I've seen you. I mean, I haven't been on this rack for as long as you have, but I've seen you getting around a little bit. You look like you're fairly capable for an old woman.
Yes, I am. I've seen many things.
That's you're well travelled then. Myself too, I guess. Perhaps you've got a bit more experience over me, I guess. But what's your name?
Okay, well, Agatha.
Agatha.
What is your name?
That's a wonderful name. Yeah, coming. Sorry, I need to go, but it was lovely to meet you, Agatha. He
You're
sort of
so little
backs
water.
away through a couple of boxes and sort of just disappears around the corner.
Yeah, look, same.
As he walks around the corner, you sort of watch as he disappears around the corner and he comes across, sort of brushing past this sort of small dwarf. What is wrong with my words tonight? Sort of leant across one of the masts that comes down through the ship, and he sort of says to you, "That woman over there, she's fucking nuts." Have you fucking spoken to her? That Agatha.
No, I haven't.
I made the mistake of introducing myself. I wish I hadn't now.
What was wrong with her?
Gee, she's just really out there. I think she might have found something like tucked away in some of these boxes. I heard this ship used to run a few illicit herbs, if you catch my drift. I don't know if maybe she found a few and had to go, but she's really, really something.
I'll give you that $200.
What are you?
Held the wall.
This is for Tim because
Oh, my ears are already hurting. What? From your voice.
There's real tears.
I'll have to do a quieter version of it.
Yeah, does anyone have a freaking lozenge to give to this witch?
I'm just gonna.
what brings you here? And what's your name, I suppose?
I am Tordic.
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 The Brauneville
I just said that.
clan. I'm here to help people, essentially. Go on adventure and help out villages. And
Well, that's a noble cause, Tordric. I don't know much about the Isle, but I've heard from the captain. I was talking to her yesterday that dwarves are few and far between on the Isle. But
Anything but yours.
it's nice to hear that there's a few of you still prepared to help people, I guess. Anyway, I'll see you around. I need to go and get ready. I think we're meant to be arriving soon, so.
I'll do yours.
no worries. Wait, I didn't catch your name, did I?
I'm
Oh, so you tell him your name.
It's almost like he didn't want to
Talk to
interact
you.
with the random people. I'm Daly.
Daily.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
He sort of nods his head and heads off, continuing through the ship, to where eventually he makes his way up some stairs and comes across a fairly tall, grey-skinned individual standing, peering out across the water, a bit of a sparkle in his eye as you stare across and very faintly make out the land off the bow of the ship. He sort of comes up alongside you and are you from here or
No.
you look like you're you look very determined. I thought perhaps you had business here or yeah.
I literally said like 30 seconds before this to Tim, I don't know how to do a voice.
I'm gonna say, like, I did say to you guys, like, you guys were talking about doing voices, and I was like, you don't have to, like, you can do it. You can do a
Thank
Dax.
fuck, I'm not doing a voice.
No, do a voice.
Like, you can do a Daxter. Like, you can use your own voice, but just talk from a first person thing.
Cool.
You can put a spin on it.
Like, yeah, you didn't need to do a voice.
Nah.
Yeah, don't feel like you have to.
I was
It's
freaking the
fine.
fuck out.
I thought you were constipated for a second. I was like, it's like you're gonna die.
Genuinely sitting
Daly's
there like,
human, yeah?
Yeah.
genuinely sitting there like fuck.
Got like a million voices.
No, I just got the one.
I should have asked as I was going around through these characters, but do you want to quickly,
Just do that the whole time.
Tim, seeing we started with you, do you want to give a quick like description of Agatha?
Yeah, it's just a lively character.
Fucking witch.
Are we just doing what we look like, or
Yeah, just like a quick, like, if I was to peer at you from across the ship,
Yeah,
what
fucking
would you
rad.
look like?
Well, I'm an old hag, about 70-year-old tiefling
Don't let
with
your character know you, Tim.
dark grey. God damn it. With dark grey and red, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, if you mix black and red, it's-
alright?
what the fuck?
Dark red.
Pretty sure that's bullshit.
Yeah, you working with?
Well, yeah. Dark red skin, which is about 5 foot. She's pretty weak as piss. She got a negative on strength. So I pretty much statted her out how she would be. Like,
She got shit decks through them.
Am I going to misspell your name again?
her dex is average.
I
Who's
can't
name?
see it.
Agatha. Yeah, that's it.
No, I can't see my name.
That's fine, it'll come up in a minute.
Yeah. That's about it, really.
It's alright, you,
Okay.
you misspelled my character's name, but you also have no way of typing it correctly.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother.
Take a screen cap of it and then just put a picture.
Scott, what does your dwarf look like?
Could you copy and paste the text from D&D?
Most important part is there's no N, it's S, comma, N.
So my dwarf
So it's
is age
Harrison.
175, 5 foot high.
Just no vowels.
It's
high.
an A in the orange.
Yeah,
He's a tall dwarf.
yeah, he'll
I thought, jeez.
So if there's ever blades that fly at like 5'2", they're gonna clear Scott and I.
faith of 2.
Like queer.
Yeah, red hair, green eyes, scale male.
Well, he's probably gonna play his fucking religion, unlike some people. I only forget who hell was in the last 5 episodes.
Oh.
That it?
So, Grenrick,
Yes.
what do you look like as...
I'm an air ganassi. I have like a grey skin, black hair. That's like. It seems almost weird to look at. It's so dark.
Is it wavy?
No.
I get lust
Damn,
in your
that's
hair.
unfortunate.
My entire body is pretty much covered in scars,
I thought it was covered in hair.
and I don't have pupils.
Cool.
Just white eyes.
So if you take drugs, we'll never be able to tell.
Yep. And I'm about 6 feet tall.
Okay. So Daly comes up alongside and says, "Oh, yeah, you looked a little determined. I thought you might have business here. What brings you to the Isle, if you don't mind me asking?"
To find some of the other blood hunters.
Blood hunters. I've not heard of them. I've heard tales of very peculiar. I have no idea how to say that with an Irish accent.
I'll kill you then. Fuck.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
It's peculiar. You can't go on the half.
People on this isle, but blood hunters I haven't heard of. But I hope you find what you're looking for then.
Thanks.
Yeah, don't mention it.
I just leave from the awkward conversation.
yeah,
Just turn around and walk away.
he sort of just stays there for a while. Give it a little. So,
Somebody would.
where do you want to head to? So you are.
Is it just written down Tim? Old hag.
Nice.
That's the only note I've taken.
I wrote down that the ship's called the Kestrel.
Oh.
That's all I've got.
I'm just gonna grab this real quick just so I can show you guys what the
Oh fuck, we didn't use my boat.
Yep.
Yeah, I just
It
realised
got
that.
sucked off into a pocket though.
Got sucked
Void.
So this isn't.
Female sounds is pretty horny.
So this isn't done because I decided to abandon this idea and instead just buy a similar thing. The trouble is sending stuff from America to Australia at the moment is apparently the hardest thing in the world. So this is just for your reference. If I can find some
Doesn't it have another bowl?
things.
Good old
What?
shitty import.
Shouldn't it have a third one?
What happened to all my
We'll
things?
just hold it the info out 3 hours.
Go on.
It's fine.
Why don't you just stop?
Like I say, it's only for your reference, so it doesn't matter too much.
Oh yeah, there's no map cam. Okay.
Why don't you just put that in between them?
That's what I was looking for. I wanted some more of them. I had a bunch of them on hand for this
What the fuck?
in particular, but anyway, it's no big deal. Also, everything is falling apart now because it's not finished. But
I got a cube from the last campaign.
yeah,
Cool.
the fuck am I going to do with that?
Oh, man,
He's gonna grab it.
Because it's more central.
in there as well.
Oh, senpai.
Okay, is that going to work? I think that's going to work. Okay,
now just turn
So-
it sideways.
Yeah.
you are currently on board this ship. Ugh, sure. Bam!
Yep.
We did it. It took a while, but we did it.
Bam, and then it's gone.
So,
I don't want to be on this ship anymore.
do you
It's like
guys...
it's gonna fall apart.
So, you know when I asked you guys if you had minis and everyone said they were alright, did anyone bring them?
Yeah, it's right behind you.
What? When did you ask?
I'm glad we have a group chat that's, you know, always up to
Yeah.
date and, like, easily accessible. So, seeing this is just for our reference, we'll use the
Yeah, it's
fucking
alright.
old minis.
Should I do the shield guy now?
Ooh, okay, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work at all.
No, it is.
Nah, it's not.
No, it is.
Okay, I'm already tilted. I'm past worrying about stuff
So
like
is
that.
the next strain going to be Tilted Johnny and Tilted Toogood?
No, next week's gonna be fine because I'm gonna have time to fucking work all this stuff out that doesn't work this week. So
Do you want a hand in the weekend? Remember that time you couldn't have got this table inside by yourself?
yeah,
Gallant Tim came all the way from 4 hours.
Oh, it works now.
that sort of works. Top deck,
Top deck.
middle deck, bottom deck. All right,
Well,
fucking,
that's not as effective.
you'll be fine. You'll work it out. You guys are up there. The dwarf was up here. You were downstairs.
You fucking belong. Don't talk to me.
And
I can't talk to you the whole time.
Hey, Grassy, hey!
and Harrison was downstairs as well.
I left when I
Put my head
saw
okay.
where he was.
Alright, sure. So,
Good thing I got lightning spells.
Of sand.
so looking around this ship, there's a few other people on board. There's around a dozen or so various travellers. You look around, there's a family, there's a man and a woman accompanied by a few kids. There's a guy who seems to be accompanied by two well-armed, you suspect, bodyguards. There's a couple of guys along with Daly, a group of three who seem to be armed, but just more for their own protection rather than seeking anything in particular. And along with the crew, obviously, there's about a crew of sort of 20 people, but they sort of stand out a lot less. They're always busy rushing around, sort of doing their job. You also know that the captain's name is Captain Elizabeth, who is a merchant trader, or not a merchant trader, but she's been hired as a merchant trader recently. But it is her ship, and at the moment she is on a trip to Tokala for supplies, and it was with her that you secured transport as she had an empty ship and needed to make some coin on the way over. So,
Pen of shit.
what would you like to do?
I want to go find people that are gambling. It sounds like something that people do on boats, right?
Yeah, that's not hard to do at all.
I think we've been down this track before.
Yep.
When do we fight?
So you could probably make your way up. You're already up on the mid deck. So you spend a bit of time looking around. There's various bunks and supplies sort of scattered around up here. But it's pretty easy to find a couple of sailors sort of sitting off to one side with a crate upturned, rolling some dice. It looks like they're sort of playing some sort of game or gambling.
Go sit by them.
They sort of... You come over and sit down, one of them sort of just gives you, looks over at you, just goes back.
How much is the buy-in?
Down in the value.
Yeah, I kind of fucked that one up, eh?
What do you got?
Not a whole lot, to be honest with you.
Swamp person.
I got about
No, that's Shrek.
I actually have a fair bit, actually.
Here's the
I
swamp.
got a couple of gold I could spare.
Well, let's not be too hasty. Let's, a couple of silver, make it worth our while.
Sure.
So, I can't remember how this works.
You roll dice.
Yeah,
and
you
that equals
do.
up to something. And then that something
And then
turned
you
against
scream.
another rolling of the dice.
Yahtzee.
Because I had that old game that I was using that was a little bit complicated. There was a simpler one that I found, and I
We roll
forgot.
2 dice, whoever gets the higher number wins.
No.
Yahtzee it is.
We'll quickly do the old one then. If you want to make a little bit of coin real quick, we'll play one and then we'll
Snake eye.
expedite. So
Snake
you got
eyes.
some
D6s.
D6. What do you got?
I got 2, but I can steal yours, right?
Here,
No,
grab it.
fuck
Grab
off.
another couple. Go with 4.
Sure.
Roll your dice.
Roll the 20.
So
Not bad.
you're looking for straights of 3. So 1, 2, 3, or 3, 4, 5. Pairs, triples, or quads.
It's like poker with dice.
Essentially, yeah. And then
Or like Yahtzee.
This game is a game of bluffing.
Bullshit.
He explains to you.
Dice.
And he says, so for instance, if
I rolled 17 times.
I might say I've got 2 pairs, and you can either choose to stay in or you can play the hand. So if you had like a straight or 2 pair, or you can call him out and say he's lying, in which case you would win, if he was lying.
I don't believe that you got 2 pairs.
Is everybody's?
I'll take that couple of silver then.
Well, shit, here you go.
We'll say you can continue gambling around there for a minute then. What's everyone else doing?
I want to meet the old hag.
Yeah. So you sort of peer over after Daly leaves, and like looking down one of the stairwells towards where he came from, and you can see she's still just lingering around down there, and you can hear one of the children is sort of, no, it's okay, thanks. No. I really need to go back. No, it's okay.
Oh, come here, little one.
No, it's all right. Thanks. And this child comes like, I say child, she's probably like 10 years old, and she comes running up past the stairs past you and goes running past, giggling.
It's trying to harvest body organs.
Is it? No. I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure it is.
What do you want to do?
I'll go down there now. Hello, madam. What's your name?
Madam, I haven't been called that in a long time. My name is Agatha.
God.
My name is Agatha.
You're going to have a fun time doing that voice for 3 hours a week.
You guys aren't gonna even.
I start walking
fun
downstairs with like going to where I was like
Yeah.
sleeping.
Okay. Yeah, so probably on the mid deck, there's like a heap of bunks. There's some space that's been cleared away with the ship being pretty light on cargo. There's a lot of extra space that's just literally been laid out with like some bedrolls, some straw, basically just some obvious, like some various materials to make it more comfortable for people on a long trip. But it's pretty basic down here.
Is it our bedroll?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll start rolling out my bedroll
Okay.
since we can see the island.
Yeah.
6 a.m. in the morning.
So around this mid deck is the guy who's flanked by a couple of bodyguards, the family, and there's an old guy sort of over in the corner who seems to be drawing out some stuff on what might be a map.
I walk up to, once I finish rolling up my bed, I walk up to the old guy and look at the map and I was like, what's that you've got there?
This is a map of the isle that we're heading to. I don't know if you're familiar with Tolkala.
Not overly. Do you want to tell me more about it?
Well,
Press A.
he sort of clears the crate that he's working on and he lays out a map in front of you.
That's a big map.
He sort of lays it out across a crate. And for the smoothest
On
transition,
your iPhone that your character has.
for the smoothest transition of all time, we're going to go to a pre-prepared video. If
Lockie's character memorises the map.
Oh shit, he got that feat.
Why did it open with this? Are you for real? It's alright, it's fine.
I feel like you could have cut the edges off to make it just a little bit more authentic.
No.
I feel like if anybody on this project was more helpful with production, this stream would be a lot more...
I wonder who that is.
This would be a lot more smoother. Like, for instance, this video could have been done like that. Instead, no, I'm fucking around. Alright, the smoothest transition ever, we're going to throw to this video. This was once a land of pride and honor and prosperity. The Republic of Tolkala.
An isle far from the known world, it was once the pinnacle of trade and innovation, and the development of new technologies. The settlement of the isle came quickly as the explorers reported vast fertile lands and mountains rich with ore and waters brimming with fish and whale. It was a trader's wet dream, so the Republic flourished. However, where there is prosperity, there is jealousy. And when this Cylindra landed her armies, the Council fought them on every front. But as the Queen's forces overwhelmed the defences, the Council made their final stand in the Lightcast, the impenetrable fortress standing tall on Ashkal Point. But hearing of the decimation across the Isle, the Council agreed to surrender the Lightcast in an attempt to save what was left of their republic. Queen Cylindra ruled for some 40 winters before her madness struck her down, leaving the throne vacant for the steward to take temporary rule. It was only months before he called for the guards and the garrisons and any loyalists to return to Queensglade, leaving towns and villages undefended. With no guards, thugs quickly decimated the villages and towns, and only the strongest survived, such as Calavan, the old capital of the Republic. Although I hear she is governed by some miscreants these days, but still her ports are open and trade continues, so perhaps it is not all that bad. Of course, when the war came, the dwarves turned a blind eye, taking shelter in Soon's Peak, their mountain fortress. Many of them still reside there, perhaps in fear that if they leave it would be overrun and taken from them. The ruins of Otterbow still hold many wonders for those brave or foolish enough to venture to them. Perhaps that's why you're here, The survivors of Otterpow established a new town closer to the Divide. Huron, I believe. I've not been there, but it's supposedly like nothing else on the Isle. Perhaps it's more established than I am led to believe. Of course, now we make our way to Port Yellis, a small port established merely out of laziness. Ships headed for Calavan would dump their cargo here, and have locals drag it across land. It would shave a week or so off the ship's turnaround. Very quickly some warehouses were built, and then the inn, and then the brothel, and now it's more of a fully fledged town. I make my way north to Ashvale. It's where I'm from, and it is where I intend to die. A peaceful town away from the conflicts of the war, and away from the monsters that roam these lands in the absence of the gunhawks that would once hunt them. Port Donovan still maintains its trade. It's vastly untouched by the war, as it had enough strong men to maintain its own garrison when the forces were pulled out. And if you're looking for something perhaps a little more exciting, you could try Nessia, a town established out of the carnage of the war. It's ran by pirates and cutthroats, but I've heard it may be more civilized than many of the towns on the mainland. Of course, there are many other places on the Isle that may be of interest to you, but this is all I can recall for now. You should ready your things. We will be arriving soon, and I must rest. This is where my adventures will come to an end, but Yours. Yours are just beginning.
Man, the smoothest transition you'll see on Twitch all this week. So
Probably
that
just hit escape.
is the only time that you'll have to sit through a 5-minute video.
The next one's 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, but that is the information that he conveys to you whilst
1 second.
looking around the map.
So what are we actually pulling into, by the way?
So Port Yellis, which is over here.
Okay, cool.
So it's currently dawn on the last day of travel, and you're currently off the coast around here somewhere.
I swim
Um, Sorry?
What?
No, you said it.
You said it.
Go-
What
go ahead.
happens now?
So,
I roll a
3 on 4.
You drowned.
with
New
that,
character.
he starts
The next campaign,
he starts gathering up his ink pot and quill. He says, you may as well hold on to this map. I feel it may be more of use to you than it
Thanks.
will be to me. Agatha appears.
Oh, thank you for that. What's your name so I can hopefully meet you in your town?
I forgot.
He can visit his grave.
See, this is why I wanted the printer to not be a shit and actually work.
Hey, did you guys get a map?
It was
I am-
something near, right?
I'm Tolnir.
Yeah. How do you spell that again?
I've not been back to the Isle for some time.
Do you guys want to buy that?
I'd love to.
And just remind me what
much
your
for
city
that?
was named.
Ashvale.
Oh, you go.
Damn, that's a lot.
But I believe we are arriving today, so I must ready my things and get some rest. But I wish you well on your travels.
I also wish you good luck.
He sort of nods his head and goes back to packing up his stuff.
I roll up the map and take it with me.
No, I got it.
It's already triggering. Cool.
Fort Valencia, wasn't that a place on your old campaign?
Very similar place, yeah. Okay. What do people want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Is there an East Watch?
Oh, that's what I was going to do as well, because I'm
There's a
an
north.
idiot and I haven't.
There's a west. There's a
There's a
south. You've forgotten the East Watch.
That's the ocean.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
I am about ready to fucking murder someone.
Can it be Tim?
Yeah, probably.
Please do.
I already did my part. What have you thrown?
Oh my god, that's loud.
shit!
Yep, didn't lock me in anyway.
Well,
What's
that
that?
would have been really fucking loud on
So
screen.
like a giant fuck off sea serpent in like the right corner of the map.
Yeah.
Fucking good one, battle bards. Assholes.
So,
Is that fucking Kraken?
how much money have I won / lost at this point?
That's a good point. All of it.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll. That's cool. So you're down 2 silver.
Damn.
Bum bum.
It's not bad. Could be worse.
I rolled wins and losses. Came up 2 different.
Is that a live man's pass?
Please give me the map. No, actually, here, you have it.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going to stab him. Jeez.
That was Agatha.
What do you want to do, Agatha?
I haven't met her yet.
That was Patricia.
Who the fuck's Patricia?
It's a movie reference that you don't understand if you're not quite there.
Still young.
Still young.
Oh, there's me a little clear thing that I was looking for.
Is there any booze on the ship?
Not that you've seen, really. Or are you asking the sailors?
Well, I was asking you if I'd seen it, but I'm gonna. The point was to go ask sailors. If
Yeah,
you
you probably you haven't really seen any around.
So am I playing games with sailors or just with other crew people?
Yeah, a few of the sailors.
Aren't sailors crew people?
By the
The
way, crew. Shut up.
the
You know what I meant.
No, it's talking about movie crew.
Yeah, exactly.
the
film crew.
the people on the ship, like the other travelers, have sort of kept to themselves for the most part. Yeah, you haven't sort of seen too much from them.
Any of you got any anything to drink around here by any chance?
Oh, no, I don't.
I mean, I feel like this late in you probably would have drank it already, but if you're holding out on anything,
I've got a very small amount left. You'd have to make it worth my while, but I could part with it for the right cost, of course. A man heading to shores could never be too heavy with silver.
just reach in and pull out 2 gold, flick it to him.
Yeah, he takes. He's like, done deal. He hands you this sort of flask. It's probably about like half a liter of booze, some sort of booze. You're not sure what.
Moonshine.
I feel like I messed up and gave myself too much gold to start with here somehow, even though I don't know what I did.
I don't know if
Yeah.
I gave myself any.
Oh, 2 silver.
I'm just gonna dunk this down by a
I
lot.
have half a bag of twisties.
I mean, yeah.
Where the fuck is
Didn't equipment.
What you want, because pirate is free. What's everyone doing then?
Mining equipment.
Otherwise,
Trying to tell me money. Currency. Just says 15. What the fuck?
So I'm gonna start with 15 gold.
15 gold.
Oh, I got 15 gold.
For some reason mine was set to 65, which is not accurate at all.
64!
That's alright, I just jacked it down to 12 because I spent 2 gold and then lost some 13, so.
I am also a billionaire. And I would like to purchase the
I
ship.
just sit down and start reading the map.
Start having a drink.
a little bit of time passes. You two having this awkward conversation. I'm guessing between yourselves.
Give it a big.
What?
Okay.
Percentile of impregnation.
I'm 70, it's probably pretty low.
I'm 170.
Are you actually?
Yeah, 175.
I'm 17.
I'm
Yeah.
like 26.
For a dwarf though.
They only mature at 150.
I'm really glad that none of this is
That
fucking
doesn't really
working.
make sense because why would you?
Hmm?
Fuck that. 150-year-old child.
Well, I guess it's just a ratio.
Did they learn real slow?
That's not what I was expecting.
Scots are done.
So, with you sort of acquiring this alcohol, you hear some footsteps sort of clanking down the stairs behind you. And looking over your shoulder, you see this woman come walking down the steps, Saber at her side. And she comes walking down, clanging a mug against the side of the ship as she goes. She says, "Come on, you swamp rats, back up to the top deck. We're arriving soon. We need to make sure the ship's ship shape." That's it.
It is indeed shaped like a ship.
Ship shape.
One of the I didn't mean to say that, but one of the guys you've been gambling with sort of laughs, and as she walks past, she gives him a bit of a knock with the mug. She goes, "Yeah, hilarious. Come on, up you go. Don't encourage them. We'll be arriving this afternoon. Make sure you get all of your stuff. Anything left on the ship becomes my property. I just want to make that clear." As she sort of makes her way down the ship.
Take your shit on the ship. What's yours now?
On the poop deck.
And she sort of comes along and shouts. You guys who are still downstairs sort of shouts down the stairwell. "Anyone below deck needs to be topside. Come on."
Okay, Lovey.
I start slowly walking up there while still looking at the map.
Yeah, well, you're still on the mid deck. You're fine there. She's talking about like the cargo hold down the hull.
Slowly make my way upstairs.
Yeah. I mean, what's your passive perceptions? 13. She's
What's
like
your speed?
12 even.
That's pretty good quality stuff.
Yeah, I feel like you should dox yourself 5 points for being old.
She's like,
You can go -5
she doesn't
points
even
for
try and cover it up. She's just like, especially you, old woman. I don't want to know what you're doing down there.
You don't want to know either.
She just makes her way back upstairs. And she sort of wanders past you and sees you looking at the map. She says, "Oh, it's a nice map you got there."
Thanks. This old guy gave it to me.
She sort of looks over to him. She's like, "Good to know." She walks off. As she starts walking off, you hear a dinging of a bell from the top of the ship. And you can see, she sort of sighs and, what the fuck is this? And runs upstairs. So she makes her way upstairs and a little bit of time passes. You guys make your way up, I'm assuming?
Very slowly.
Okay.
You struggle to walk up the stairs.
I've got one of those walking frames. Just staffs like attached to it.
I hate you so much.
A bit of time passes, and then you hear the bell ring out again. This time, ding, 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 and you watch as the sailors that you've been gambling with, who are packing up their dice and that sort of thing, they sort of look at each other, raise an eyebrow, and then take off upstairs as well. With that, what does everyone want to do?
What is this bloody ruckus?
I roll up the map
I
and
sort
put it
of-
in my backpack.
When I'm staring at them
Yep.
running away, does it look like they're sort of like scared or in a panic, or are they just like rushing because like, oh shit, gotta go do my work now?
They look a little bit confused more than anything. They're sort of, they're aware of what that means, and they're sort of thinking that doesn't sound right.
3 bells for yes, 4 dings for no.
I want to put my hand on a weapon and walk upstairs.
Okay.
I put my
Seeing
hand
what's happening.
on Jordan.
So as you make your way upstairs,
Grab by the waist.
No, just jump on your back.
as you make your way upstairs, you can see the top deck of the ship now is a little bit chaotic. There's sailors running around, sort of dropping the sails to try and get full sails to go faster. And you can see Elizabeth is sort of making her way back down from some of the rigging off to the side of the ship. And as she makes her way back across towards the back of the ship, you can see her shouting out, "Drop those sails, make sure we're moving as quickly as we can. We don't have time for this." And she keeps moving along, and the sailors rush past her and start tying up the sails tighter and everything else. What are you guys doing?
I slowly walk upstairs.
Or I cast make Bo go faster.
Oh, what a spell!
Yeah? Is that a first level?
Only
or-
drops to
Yeah.
What a very specific spell.
Helps out in this one.
So Harrison's the
situation.
only one topside right now, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. You can see she makes her way up to the wheel and sort of turns around. She sees you stood like on the center of the deck in the stairwell. She says, "You need to be back downstairs."
What's going on here?
Nothing, it's fine. Downstairs.
All right then. So
Um,
turn around, start heading down.
okay. As you make your way back down, you two probably like cross paths.
She's just gonna tell you to come back down.
I just look at
Just
him slightly.
I just keep walking by as I say
Just
that.
keep walking up.
So as you arrive towards the top deck, you can see Elizabeth, who stood pretty much in front of you as you make your way up the stairs, and she's halfway through turning the ship's wheel. She just looks down at you and goes, "Back downstairs!"
Just stand there awkwardly and just look at her for a few seconds, and then just start slowly pacing downstairs.
She doesn't pay you much mind. She sort of catches a glimpse of you, she sort of shouts back downstairs, and then just goes back to what she's doing. She doesn't seem to dwell on it very much. So you guys make your way back downstairs, and you can see the family in particular is sort of looking a little bit concerned. They seem to be a little bit startled by all this commotion all of a sudden. Everyone else seems to be pretty calm. Nobody's panicked or anything, but you can see you are all sort of grouped together now.
walk up to. Fuck, what's your name?
Harrison.
Walk up to Harrison. I have Kevin stuck in my head.
Yeah, well, I'm over here.
I walk up to. Walk up to Harrison. I just say sorry for the rude encounter on the stairs. Was curious of what was happening upstairs.
Well, look, me too, to be honest with you. I got no bloody clue though. She wouldn't tell me anything.
She didn't tell me much either. I kind of just stared at her.
What are you two doing? You still having your weird, awkward conversations, or? What does that mean?
Just laughing.
Hey, what weapon do you have?
Crazy
I
old
got a
lady.
long sword.
Sure.
I've also got an infinite bag of cats.
Because I'm a blacksmith, I'd be
Or
interested.
cats.
Oh.
People.
You were
Stick
asking
to them and do
character.
1d4.
Well, no,
4
because
damage.
More just because I'm looking at you.
I've got a special cat with vocal claws. His name's Itchy Scratchy. And the bottom of the bag's full of shit, so that the claws do poison damage.
I'm just there.
What is going on?
What are you talking about?
Yo, crazy old lady. Got an infinite bag of cats.
So a bit of time passes then.
I shake your hand and introduce myself.
My hand?
Just ground Rick.
Oh, thank
no,
you.
not you.
Fuck, you are obnoxious tonight. Like, jeez.
Nobody fucking talked to you at work today.
No, not really.
Oh.
Nobody ever does.
A little bit of time passes then, and eventually you can hear sort of shouts from upstairs, and occasionally you hear a few calls coming back and forth across the deck above you. You can hear various shouts of speeds, like 8 knots, 9 knots, and this seems to be repeating every sort of 10-15 minutes. It seems like speed at the moment is pretty crucial to whatever's happening. And you probably start to get a little bit concerned when you start to hear, "They're closing, Captain!" shouted across the deck. And a little bit of time passes, and does anybody want to go? Does anybody want to do anything?
If I head to the back of the ship,
Yep.
is there any sort of, like, I highly doubt there's a window that I could look out, but is
Yeah,
there...
not down here.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be any openings at all down here. You would assume, after being on the ship a little bit, you've probably noticed that upstairs there's a captain's quarters which has windows out the back of the ship, but that's about all there is.
Do you know how to fight?
Well, better than most people, I guess, but I guess we'll see, hopefully. Well, don't know if I should be saying hopefully to that, but
If there comes a need, help me.
sure thing. Are you not too skilled yourself?
Oh no, I am. It's just two's better than one.
I'm kind of goody with that.
With this conversation, it's interrupted by who, over your time on the ship, you would know to be the quartermaster of the ship, comes downstairs, and it's this sort of old, grizzled human man, sort of a long greying beard, and he sort of gathers you all up and says, "All right, I need everyone's attention if I could, please. Looks like we're gonna have a little bit of trouble as we approach the port. Shouldn't be anything to be too worried about, but if I could just have you all stay in the center of the ship, and perhaps get some crates and maybe put them around you, I'm sure everything will be fine. Nobody panic. It's all okay." And so the family sort of starts to get a little bit panicked. The merchant and his 2 bodyguards sort of look around a little bit confused. The bodyguards go and start shifting boxes, sort of as if they've done this before, and start moving some of the barrels and boxes into sort of a barricade through the center of the ship. The old man sort of comes over and nestles down against one of the masts and sort of just goes back to reading his book. What do you guys want to do?
I'll help out moving boxes as well.
I want to sort of wait for the quartermaster to start walking away.
Yep.
And then, like, walk up to him.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I didn't want to sort of panic the others, but what's going on here?
He sort of looks back to make sure he's sort of out of earshot of like the other travellers. He goes, "These waters aren't the safest. It looks like we've attracted some attention."
Is there another ship coming for us, or is it...
Yeah.
Alright.
Sure, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It'll be alright.
If the time comes and you need help, I've got my weapons on me, so
Good to know. Does anybody else see you guys doing anything, or?
I start moving the family into the middle of the boat.
Yep. Okay. So you can see the guards sort of the two bodyguards who are sort of leading this operation start to stack whatever's available, sacks of supplies, barrels, boxes in sort of 2 lines, and then start shepherding everybody into between them. This goes on for a little bit, and you can hear shouts come from upstairs.
I need to write your name down.
no, you want the spelling?
No, just the name.
Harrison Jones.
And
With a comma instead of a
Yeah, there's no O.
yeah. It's a comma instead of an O.
No.
the next thing that probably catches your attention is the trap door on the ship gets pulled across and blocks it off, and suddenly the midship of this, the mid deck of this ship gets plunged into darkness, aside from a couple of lanterns that are scattered around. So it's now very dark in here, but
I whisper to Harrison and say, just make sure that we have a way out if need. Like, look for a way out.
Sort of sigh. And I don't really want to do this, but walk over to the witch. The witch.
the witch.
Yeah. Okay, you look magical tonight.
What makes you think that, young laddie?
Fuck me.
It's a yes or no question, really.
I may have some magical ways.
Can you light the deck up a little bit? That'll probably help the family out.
What's wrong with them? We all live in darkness.
Jesus. Oh no, whatever. I walk away.
You're just like, nope.
Try to be helpful.
Okay.
I could light the place on fire if you want.
You sort of turn to walk away, and then as you're walking away, these globules of light vroom, 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 down the hull of the ship, and suddenly it's quite bright in here.
You're welcome.
Sure.
Witches. Walk away.
It's more like you.
The next thing that sort of so a bit more time passes, unless you just want to do anything, and the next thing that would catch your attention is you hear a very distinct shout from one of the sailors up on the top deck, and you hear, "They're coming aside, Captain!" Everyone's still hanging out.
Is this
I don't
up
know.
you?
I think it might be. I at least walk up to the trapdoor. I don't open it yet, though.
Okay.
I'm behind him.
Yep. Sure. Whoa. That was loud. So you guys are up about. Who's who here?
This is me.
There you go. Alright, so you guys are up about here. That's the wrong one. You guys are up here. You guys are hanging out back here somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing I didn't get to test is what I'm about to do, so hopefully this isn't incredibly loud. But
Boom! Big shock.
Do you need me to go grab one of the plastic things again?
No, just do this.
so as you sat there and you can hear shouting and the bell rings out again, and you hear almost an uncomfortable silence before it's broken by brace, and with that a shudder of
Timber.
what's the word I'm looking for? Shrapnel flies across the ship, and suddenly there's a sprout of daylight as cannon fire erupts outside, and about 4 spots along the deck that you're on erupts with light and shrapnel, and you just hear like chaos upstairs. People start running around. You hear a couple of screams and just footsteps, and you hear that many commands being shouted across the deck that it's hard to make out what's happening. peering through one of the holes now and looking across out through the boxes, you can see there's another ship, probably easily 1.5 times the ship that you're on, is about 70 meters across the water, now running parallel with the Kestrel. Suddenly the trapdoor above is lifted off and a few sailors come running down with these hammers and wedges, and they start looking around at the damage. They run past you, run downstairs into the lower deck. You can hear some hammering going on and stuff, and then they come back up, run back past you again, this time leaving the trapdoor open. But you can hear the captain shouting, "Lift the sails! Throw out a line." And there's a silence for a second before people start running off to do what she's asked. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna head up there.
I still just being
Yeah.
calm, slowly walk up the
Yeah,
stairs.
just walk up. Well, shit. Let's
Okay.
hope when they try and board us. I'm a lot better in a hand-to-hand combat than I am at range.
So you make your way up,
Making conversation.
and
Upstairs.
as you break the trapdoor and sort of peer out, you can see the sails are slowly being raised, and off to one side there's a guy with a flag who seems to be waving it at this ship. And a little bit of time passes, the sails get pulled up, and you can see that the ship is visibly slowing down. And given a little bit of time, somebody, the quartermaster would probably say to you, "You might be best downstairs. I don't think we're quite looking for a fight yet. I mean, it's up to you. You can stay here if you want, but take care, I guess."
Give us a command when you need us. And I just turn around and head down the stairs.
So a little bit of time passes as this other ship, you can see it raises its sails to almost all the way up, but enough to maintain a little bit of wind. And it comes around, and after a little bit of time, comes alongside. Some grappling hooks go out and they pull the ships together. And you can see this black-coated, grizzled, possibly elf, possibly half-elf. He looks to be slightly more elven than half-elf, but somewhere in the middle.
3/4 elf.
It sort of comes waltzing across the deck of the ship, across the gangplank onto the Kestrel. Elizabeth makes her way down the stairs to meet him, and he lets out this, "Ah, Elizabeth, I knew you'd come back. What kept you away so long?" And she just retorts with this, "Yes, it's a pleasure as always, my fellow, but thank you for putting more holes in my ship. I just got them repaired before coming back, so I'm glad we could do this now." "It's no problem. I'm happy to see you here. What are you carrying, if you don't mind me asking?" "And I know you won't, because we've been down this track before, haven't we?" "I'm not carrying anything. I'm here to pick up supplies. So this is a wasted foray. You've already wasted cannon shot on me." "Don't lie to me, Elizabeth. You must be carrying something." And he peers over and sees, are you guys still stood in the hatch?
Yeah, I guess I would be.
So, quick question.
I did say I walked
Do the
down.
cannonballs
Yeah,
go
you did.
all the way through? Or
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Are you gonna try and take one?
Just curious.
Thank you.
This is mine.
I melt this into a sword now.
Press on make a profit.
Is that you in the slavery, the mercenary, the transport business? No? She says, "Well, I've got to make some coins somehow, don't I? I'm coming here with an empty ship, and now I have to pay for repairs thanks to you." "Oh, don't worry, you won't have to pay for repairs, darling. I'll be taking the ship. You can count on that."
Nice.
And this goes on between them for a little while. Before eventually a few of his men, he sort of gives the finger to a couple of men, and they come across and sort of head over towards the trapdoor to come down and inspect the ship. What do you guys want to do in the door?
Wait for my prey.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, well, I'd still be sort of like at the trapdoor, waiting for.
I'm just sitting against one of the boxes.
Yeah. Okay.
Gonna put my hood over.
Hand still on one weapon.
So these few sailors come downstairs and start looking around. They sort of kick aside one of the boxes, revealing the people sat down the middle, and you can see the bodyguards sort of half draw their weapons and sort of eye them. And there's this sort of standoff for a moment where the sailors and these bodyguards sort of stand off a little bit before they sort of continue along and keep opening boxes, checking barrels, looking through any supplies that are left here. They continue all the way down to the lower deck and then come back up through. And they make their way back up onto the deck and sort of say, fuck all here. Yes, you weren't lying. It's a surprise from you, Elizabeth. And with that, you hear a shout from the other ship. And you just hear, Captain, sails! And he sort of leans back onto the balustrade of the ship and peers out across. And from where you are, you wouldn't be able to see anything, but he says, well, seems we need to expedite this process, so...
And even bigger boats coming for that.
So...
It's a fish eat fish world.
This ship will come under my command. My men will sail it back to port. I believe I'm assuming you have some life rafts on here, right? Elizabeth is like, yes, but Muffalo, I need this ship. He goes, yes, well, so do I, it seems. And it would appear, as you've clearly sold your cannon, that I am more equipped to take the ship. So, would you like to settle this with steel, or are you happy to hand it over? She sort of argues you can't force us onto life rafts and that sort of thing. Eventually, a few of these men sort of come across with their weapons drawn and start sort of heading downstairs. They pull aside the boxes and start shouting for everyone to head up onto the deck. What do you guys want to do?
We'll head up. It's easier to fight upstairs.
I just look at one of the guards, stand up and...
Make your way up.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just don't break eye contact with him the whole time.
I pass.
He just stares at you as he walks past. One of them's like this big 7-foot just hulk of a man, just watches you go past.
I fart as I pass one of them.
He's like, whoa.
Sorry. That was the beans.
Old people. So you make your way upstairs.
So these are just like humans and elves, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much a mix. You can see across on the ship a few that haven't come over. There's a couple of like gnomes that seem to be running around the rigging and that sort of thing. And up on the aft of the ship, there's a halfling. I nearly said hobbit. There's a halfling. But yeah, the ones that have come across all seem to be either half elf or human.
Damn.
He says, all right, this is an interesting bunch of people that we've got here, isn't it? Well, I'd just like to let you all know that this ship now belongs to me, and as this is my ship, I need you all to get the fuck off it. So, if you look over to your left, you'll see that there's some life rafts. If you could all make your way onto them in an orderly fashion, we need to get going.
We should make it land to his boat.
You can see the family, the bodyguard, the old man all start making their way over. They don't seem too concerned.
I just look at him and go, before we go, where are you heading?
What
To
level?
the Seven Seas. It's my home.
Not swinging by any ports?
Nope.
At all.
Nope. He's just got this big grin on his face, he's not even trying to hide that he's lying. He's just not telling you.
Can we see the other boat behind us?
Yeah. Now that you're up here, and because you've heard it, you might have been looking for it. But you peer out, And off on the horizon, sort of along the coastline, you can see maybe a 3-sail ship sort of cresting the horizon, or maybe just past the horizon towards you. But it definitely seems to be headed straight for you.
Yeah.
I glare at the ship, glare back at him. Aren't you a bit worried about that?
Not at all. It's a standard occurrence for these parts. You never know when pirates like that might come and try and take your ship from you.
Oh, like right now.
No, this is a legitimate business transaction. Tell them, Elizabeth. Elizabeth sort of just has this like angry look on her face, just doesn't say anything.
Did she fuck up?
So, if you all would be so kind, we need to get going. The rest of you, he sort of looks past you towards the crew, says if you'd like to continue making a living, you're more than welcome to stay on the ship and take part in my crew. Otherwise, I'm sure you can all fit into those couple of life rafts, right? You can see a couple of them sort of, well, probably about half of them make their way over and start readying the ship. The other half sort of go over and sort of mount up into one of the life rafts.
So are we doing this or what?
Leroy.
Getting off the boat.
Fuck no.
Just look
Make
at
a perception for me,
Who?
Agatha.
Gotta find my skills. Perception.
Man, I wish I was a mage right now.
12.
I'd shoot his sails.
So you sort of peer across onto his ship, which is a little bit larger, and you can see there's maybe around 30 crew, along with perhaps a dozen or so well-armed sort of fighters that are all sort of, the fighters in particular are sort of just hanging around near the gangplank. They're not on the kestrel, but they're sort of just lingering around.
Would I also see these fighters?
Yeah.
I just look at him and go, you don't need another one, do you?
He sort of looks up and down. Says, have you been at sea very long?
How much does that matter? If I'm
Well,
good with a sword.
when there's a little bit of a difference to fighting on land and to fighting on a ship. But could always use a good fighter potentially. Not right now. I tell you what, if you manage to seek me out, I'll consider that a gesture of enthusiasm.
How far away is the coast from where we are?
It's probably a few, a kilometre or two. Like, you're pretty close to the coast. You're sort of coming down along the coast.
So we could row it.
Yeah, it's definitely rowable. It's not ideal, but it's doable.
No, I won't be rowing.
Just look
so.
at him, nod my head, and start heading towards the lifeboat.
Mhm. Okay. So you make your way over. The lifeboats have been lowered, but there's rope ladders headed down. But yeah, you make your way down. Everyone else, what are you doing?
For the first time since they started screaming stuff, I take my hand off my weapon.
Okay.
And then just walk away, but continue glaring at him.
Yeah. He just sort of side eyes you the whole time you're walking away.
Does it look like there's going to be enough room for everyone to hold
Just
the
had my hand on the
raft?
weapon the whole
Yeah,
time.
it looks like it's.
Before-
yeah. If all the sailors were trying to get on there as well, it might be a tight squeeze, but
So
it looks like
super
the crew's there.
flammable on this boat.
The boat. It's made
Uh,
of wood.
You've seen a couple of small kegs of like lantern oil, but that's about it.
I just yell at him. Before I go, I'll see you next time. I just slide down the rope.
He sort of smirks. He kind of likes that a little bit. You get the feeling. The sort of tropey one-liners. And so as you sort of start making your way off, you can hear a little bit of a conversation between them, between Elizabeth and Muffalo, and sort of, you can't expect me to handle a ship like this. What is it? And they sort of continue to jabber on between
Is
them.
that lantern oil roughly anywhere towards the life rafts?
It would be on the mid deck. It's probably, well, they wouldn't have stacked it up in the barricades, but it would have been in the mid deck, sort of around where you were hiding.
He's trying to destroy the ship on your way out.
Maybe.
You are up on the top deck. It would involve going back down the stairs.
But there's holes inside the boat too.
Really well timed to name shot.
You could certainly go and have a look.
I'll go to the lighthouse for now.
Okay.
When I see you going to slide down the rope, I just yell out, "Do you need a hand?"
It's a rope ladder, but
Either way, do you need a hand?
You can carry me down if you like.
Nope.
nope.
I'm still on the main boat, just at the life rafts at the moment.
Yeah.
I haven't got on yet. I'm waiting for everyone else.
Okay. So pretty much everyone gathers
Just
up.
still
You
glaring
heading
at him.
over as well.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys make your way over, and sort of make your way down onto the raft, and eventually Elizabeth comes storming across in a bit of a huff, and like drops down onto the boat. And immediately, sort of as she drops down, the sails are unfurled. They catch wind, and the ships, both of them, start pulling away and headed out towards the east,
So back out towards sea.
away from the coast. Yeah.
Are any of those holes to the mid deck near where we are right now?
Yeah, there would be. Probably up. So if you were stood on the life raft at water level, they're probably a bit above head height.
You won't.
All it takes is one lucky shot to destroy the entire boat.
Is there something that looks just like not like it'll blow up? It's very flammable.
Make a perception as you're trying to peer through a cannon hole, which is about this big, through a wall that's a couple of meters away now as they're pulling away.
I could cast minor. No. Can you say prestidigitation? Yeah, I can cast that to create a light to see better. Will that help me? Or is it
Sure.
just cool? Yeah, 'cause that's a cantrip, and I can use that many times.
Unfortunately, you can't see anything. It looks like the angle, like you get your light up and you can see, but looking through, all you can see is the boards of the top deck. You can't manage to see anything, unfortunately. So, the ships begin to pull away, and the sailors sort of start rowing sort of towards land, but also north a little bit towards the ship that they can see coming. And this ship sort of continues following the other ships for a moment, and then as it sort of begins to get past you, sort of comes around and lifts its sails, and it comes up, and you can see they sort of fish in these life rafts and pull you all up onto the deck of this larger ship. With this happening, Elizabeth storms off immediately up towards the back of the ship. You're all sort of herded into the centre, down off the sides, and sort of just kept in the middle. But you can see, after a little bit of conversation, there's some shouting going on. You can hear Elizabeth quite loudly arguing with what you assume to be the captain of this ship, before it drops sails and starts heading back the way that you were headed towards Port Yellis. Anything you want to do in particular at the moment?
Look for anything flammable on the boat.
There's, well, from where you are,
Well, that was an interesting encounter.
Sure it was.
even from where you are, there's plenty of stuff. You can see there's various lanterns around the top deck, which would be a little bit flammable. There's various iron grates that can be removed for lowering supplies in, and peering down through them, you can see this is a gunship. It has various cannons running down the ship, and you can see there's what you would assume to be gunpowder barrels around the mid-deck. But yeah.
Cool.
Let's just steal a handful
Taking
of
note of my
gunpowder.
surroundings.
So, this ship continues back up the coast, and now only a couple of hours travel from the port. Is there anything in particular you want to do or try to accomplish along the way?
Blow the ship up.
Are you like secretly an evil character? What is this?
No, it's just a pyromania.
It's chilling.
So the couple of hours pass uneventful, and eventually you see the seagull flocks around the docks of Port Yellis. And when you arrive, you can see a few docks jut out into the water, and there's maybe a dozen buildings here. It's not a large settlement by any means. And the ship comes up, not to the docks, it's too large to get in, but pretty close to, and then they lower their rafts and start ferrying people in.
How much did it cost us to get here?
It was a fair bit. It was probably around 100 gold each.
I would like a refund.
I tap the captain on the shoulder and I go,
She's like, by this point, after a couple of hours, she's sort of sat on the stairs leading up towards the wheel of the ship, and she's sat there pretty like just staring at the floor, just sort of lost in thought.
so I hate to bring this up. You didn't really get us here that safely. Where's my gold?
She looks at you. She doesn't look up for a moment, but she sort of continues looking at the ground. Then she looks up at you, gets up, walks past, and just walks off.
As she keeps walking, I just go, "Hey, you didn't answer my question.
She just keeps walking. She's like headed up towards the bow of the ship.
Where's my gold?"
Are you pursuing her or?
I'm just yelling.
Okay. So you're probably on the second or third raft as it ferries people across. But you make your way up onto the coastline. You can see immediately there's a little bit of travel going around. There's a lot of carts moving stuff here and there. There's a couple of large warehouses that are currently open as goods are being taken in and out. Across the way you can see there's a large sign out the front which has this depiction of a large sea monster, and you can see like a lot of the sailors are headed directly there. What would you like to do?
Your adventure.
Can you drink?
Yes.
Just sort of walk off to the pub after saying that.
I follow.
How old was your character again?
17.
Okay.
You really think there's drinking laws in like?
Look, probably to a slight degree.
What are
Depends on the
you
country.
two doing?
I was tag along in the back.
Yeah. Talk to the old lady.
Okay.
Like how close are you to us?
Very close.
Just turn around and say, "Stop following me."
I will go where I like.
Can you take a step back?
I can take a step forward.
Alright. As you're gonna take a step forward, I push you in front of me and take a step back.
I'll be bored.
Okay. So you make your way over, and as you sort of approach this, what is pretty obviously an inn. Once you get closer,
Tinder.
It's Tim
and you can see it has etched across it, across the front in a big board, Kraken's Eye Inn. And you make your way in, and this place is just a mess. Like, it doesn't look like there's regular staff here that clean anything. There's just like, there's sailors that are just half passed out on the tables. There's mugs of ale just scattered across the floor. Over at the bar you can see there's this gnomish man who's halfway through pouring a drink for somebody and halfway through shouting at somebody who's trying to climb over the bar to get a drink. And he's going, "Just fucking wait a minute! I'll be with you soon, hang on!" And he's like quickly coming back, and you can see he sort of disappears behind the bar and then pops back up on the other side. Looks like he's got little stools along the bar and that. Before he sort of drops back up and he sort of starts smacking this sailor who's trying to climb across the bar, and he's going, "Here, take this one, you fucking prick." He disappears back behind the bar, comes back up where he was pouring one. He looks over and sees you guys just stood in the door. He's like, "Oh, don't mind the mess. It's fine. Take a seat. I'll be with you in a minute." And he just goes back to pouring more drinks. You can see now he's got about 3 mugs all in one hand as he's just pouring them all as he goes.
Nice. That's pretty flammable.
Yeah, there's like
What the
a
fuck is wrong
thin,
with you?
a thin layer of alcohol and just muck across the entire floor of this place. It's pretty gross.
Just asking, just taking observations, really.
What a lovely establishment.
I've seen worse.
I need to remember. I'm going to take a quick.
Could be worse. At least it's not blood.
Can be if you want.
Jeez, you're not wrong.
There is a little bit of blood across the floor.
It's not a lot of blood.
I just like the idea. At least it's not blood.
Can you
Points at some blood.
Can you contract AIDS from the ground?
Try hard enough.
So do you two want to head up? There's like the bar over on one side and then some various tables scattered around. Do you want to head to the bar or the tables or?
The tables. And is there like any passed out sailors?
Yeah, there would be probably like 1 or
Like
2.
half
Looks
empty.
like there's 2 that were probably having.
You should have finished
Half empty drinks next to them.
Yeah, it looks like there was 2 who were probably having a drinking competition. You can see there's a little bit like a few coppers sort of stacked up in a pile as if they were placing bets.
Yeah, so it's
Um,
coin pouches.
And then there's two sailors who are like face down and just their hands still on mugs.
Oh, I take the mug and the copper at the same
Yeah,
time.
okay. So you pick up like 8 copper.
Thanks for that.
You just hear, whoa, and then he just collapses to the floor. So this pale skin looks like sword fighter and this human sword fighter. I'm so trying to get used to your new characters. Sort of make their way in ahead of you and head over to a table.
To
and
be
sit
fair, I
down.
don't actually have a sword.
You're talking about us.
Oh, don't you? What do you have?
You're a samurai.
Battle axe, hand axe, and a war pick.
Oh, sure. Why not?
You're the worst samurai ever.
Not all samurais use swords, just most of them. The
Um,
vast majority of them.
what do you guys want to do? The
Some
creepy
of them
old
use
tiefling
spikes.
and the dwarf.
Yeah, I'll head over to the bar.
Okay. You make your way over, and sort of as you're heading up, he's filling up the mugs. He doesn't turn around, but you get the sense that he knows you're there. He goes, "Just a moment," and he finishes pouring these drinks. What are you doing?
Just chilling.
In the doorway?
No, I follow.
Where? They went to 2 different places.
I follow this guy.
Who?
The dwarf.
Okay.
You want a drink, Mom?
Say mum.
Mum.
Mom.
Mom.
How's your mother? You wouldn't look like that.
The tap on the thing,
fuck
like
did
you
you
say
actually
that, and the
say?
tap on the barrel just. He just goes. He's like he sort of does that like without turning any individual parts of his body. Just rotates and just drops down and goes off.
If I was your mother, you wouldn't look anything like that.
He goes back. He sort of disappears behind the bar again, but you hear sort of shouted up, "What can I get you?"
Just a ale, thanks.
He comes over, jumps back up onto the thing where he was, and you can see he sort of grabs a mug from the bar and sort of looks at it. Starts filling it up. What about you, miss?
I'm fine, thank you.
Just following us in here, but not getting the job.
What else am I gonna do? I'm an old lady.
Can we see them to where they are?
Yeah, they're just like across. Like you guys are probably sat like here, and the bar's like over, so they're like directly off to your side, kind of thing.
I didn't know they were a couple.
Oh God, I hope not.
This bartender comes over and he sort of jumps up onto the thing, slams down this mug of ale. He's like, "Oh, how do you do? Newcomers, you're not sailors. Why is everybody Irish? I need to stop." That's really in my head tonight for some reason. "Oh, newcomers, how do you do? I know, I'm trying. I'll get there eventually. Don't worry.
Go more England, eh?
Yeah, I'm trying." I don't know what's wrong. Like, honestly, tonight is just a mess. Anyway, it's fine.
Just keep going with the Irish thing, in all honesty.
Yeah, no, it's fine. He sent that down. That'll be a, I forgot what everything costs, because you guys haven't been to an inn in fucking forever.
I thought we were stuck in a fucking dungeon.
Yeah, actually, we're in a fucking tomb. We're gonna get doing it.
That's what I meant.
It wasn't exactly
That'll
by
be a couple of
choice.
copper.
Yeah, no worries.
I love these ships.
Yes. This is creaking.
I haven't got any good in ones, I don't think.
Oh, I think the last one wasn't there.
Is this one? Have a look at how low I had that fucking ocean turned down. It's still like that as fuck.
Holy shit.
What?
It's turned down really
Yeah,
low.
it's literally muted. Okay, so newcomers who just came in.
Yeah, just talk to those two.
Yeah, at the minute.
Yeah, our ship got raided, and then we got picked up by some more, by someone else.
Right. He sort of looks over and peers through the windows. Can't quite see sort of what, like the ship that you're talking about, but oh, wow.
Lovely place this is.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're in here, it's generally pretty good. Just don't venture too far out into the water on the east coast, and generally you'll be fine.
No, take it.
But without a ship, that's not really, a concern of yours at the moment, then, is it? He like drops back down, goes back over. What can I get you? You two over there.
I'll take another one of these.
Sure. You can see he's got all these like kegs along the wall, all facing out with taps on them, and you can see like two of them just like look like they've never been used. There's like some cobwebs on them and stuff, and he just keeps going back to the same one. As he makes his way back along the bar, he sort of takes one of the dirty mugs, brings it over, starts filling it up.
Do you want one?
I'll take one of your strongest and one of that, and just point to the one that looks like it's never been used.
He, without like looking around, he's like, that one.
Yeah.
Sure. So one of each. Like he does all of this just while he's pouring a drink. He doesn't turn around. He's like, one of this one and one of this.
Oh, one of your strongest and one of that. Yeah.
Sure. He grabs another couple of mugs, start filling them up. He heads over to you guys, puts down two of what appears to be just an ale, and one of what appears to be this sort of dark red kind of. Well, it looks to be some sort of wine.
Fair enough.
He's like, good luck. Just like walks off.
Let's have a look at it.
Smells like fruity, but it's definitely wine, but it's terrible. It is really bad.
Was it 2?
Sorry. Sorry. He's like, that'll be 6 copper for the 3 of them.
I'll pay for all.
He went Irish again. That's fine.
I'll pay for all. Both of you.
Cheers.
There's leprechauns everywhere. If they're Irish gnomes, they're just leprechauns.
Yeah.
As he's making his way back across, you can see he sort of occasionally like picks up a couple of mugs, but as he sort of gathers more and more up into his arms, he like drops a couple and they spill, but he just doesn't bother picking them up. He just keeps walking, makes his way around the bar and sort of just sits them up on the counter. Doesn't start washing them. He just sort of comes back over to you two and he's like, so what are your plans? You got no ship? I'm assuming you got no crew. Why am I Irish? Why does everybody sound the same in this fucking campaign?
Literally every NPC has got to be on.
I know.
I know, it's just the easiest one to do.
Yeah, it really is. That's why I keep slipping back into it.
Maybe you're just Irish.
What are your plans then? Oh, you don't have to tell me if you don't. I get a big secret. He starts filling it up. As he's filling up a mug, one of the sailors is like, another. He's like, yeah, I got you.
So does this place look like it has like rooms to stay, or is it just like?
You can't notice any inside it. It's just sort of like this one big room. There's no stairs going up or any other doors. It looks like it's just a pub, essentially. But yeah, the bartender sort of continues heading around. But you can see he doesn't really have a sense of like privacy or like face-to-face conversation. As he's like walking around delivering drinks, picking up mugs, he sort of just keeps shouting across the bar like, "Are you four together? Or are we all from... No? Just coincidence? Or are we all on the same ship?"
The same ship, but that's about it.
I think those two are married.
Oh.
He wishes.
he like, he doesn't, for the first time you've been in here, he sort of just stops and he's like walking past your table. He's like, "Is she always like this?"
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
I just look at him and nod slowly.
It's best to not interact with her, in my opinion, but...
Want to go with it?
Goes back.
Alright.
We'll head
I
up.
head down to those two.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Thought you'd get away that easy.
Sure that's not your real voice.
Do you need a lozenge or anything? I mean, not that I have one or anything, but
What's lozenge?
it'll help your throat.
Sure.
How are you married to her?
With this going on, a very angry Elizabeth comes in through the tavern doors and
Oh, yeah.
heads over to the bar and sits down, sort of plops herself down on a stool, and the gnome comes over without even like asking or anything, just starts filling up a tankard.
Just walk up beside her, pull a stool next to her and say, "You at least owe me an ale."
Hope she breaks it over your head.
The gnome comes over, the bartender comes over, and he's like, "I'm going to assume you're the captain of the ship then." And you can see she's got like this hat on that she sort of takes off and slams onto the bar, and she goes, "Well, not anymore, it seems."
Oh, that wasn't on.
Huh?
That accent wasn't on.
"Wow, this one's on me then. Sorry to hear that." She goes, "Yeah, appreciate it."
Do you take the ale?
I'm just staring at her.
She's not acknowledging you at all. She just starts drinking.
Just grab mine. Cheers. Go.
Like, as she's raising it up to drink, he was like,
Just knock it out of her hand.
she's
Well,
just like,
I'll be waiting over there. Bring me my drink whenever. And just walk away.
So, who was it then, if you don't mind me asking? Do we know?
Some cheeky Malfoy guy.
Methylo.
I've heard he's been making a bit of a ruckus around here recently.
I whisper, but not like... It's still loud enough that she'd be able to hear. She's not very talkative, is she?
Well, I mean,
I hope she stays you.
that's what happens when you lose your ship, eh? Probably not in the best mood, eh?
Okay. Oh, you
Perhaps
guys.
she could use a drinking partner.
What, anything in particular you want to do while you're all gathered around?
Look for flammbles.
What is wrong with your character? I need to know. Like, is this like something? Is this something we need to worry about?
You would assume a fair bit of the alcohol in here is probably fun. But there doesn't seem to be much else. There's a few lands around.
That's interesting.
So after You can see the gnome sort of continues giving Elizabeth drinks, even though she doesn't seem to be paying for it. But a bit of time passes,
You'd think so.
and as it gets on to sort of mid-afternoon, you start thinking that you will probably need somewhere to rest tonight, as you no longer have a ship to stay in.
Do I have to roll Constitution for drinking?
Have you been drinking an absurd amount?
I might be just like, he's 17.
I've had like 1.5.
It's only been like a couple of hours or an hour or two.
Drink more, you pussy.
I would have had like 3 or 4 probably.
Yeah, no, like unless you're drinking an absurd amount or anything particularly strong.
Go
you'll
on,
be
Jay.
I still want to buy one of those shitty wines and then give it to the captain.
fine. Yeah.
I got you a drink.
So what do you? Because she's sat at the bar. What do you like? How does this go down?
I was like, oh, another one of them for me, please. Just
Okay.
get him to pour me the wine and then give it to her.
Okay. So
Got you a drink.
he comes over, gives you the wine, heads back over to the bar, and then you sort of head over and
Yeah.
sort of come up to the bar.
Let me introduce myself.
And sort of you give it to her, and the gnome's just like and just goes. He just like leaves. He just like walks off. Goes, starts picking up mugs.
The name's Jones. Harrison Jones.
And she's like, "That smells awful.
It tastes a little bit better than it smells.
I think I'm alright with ale. Thank you, though.
Alright, just chug it.
It's so bad. it's like drinking off grape juice. It's just really bad.
Should just thrown it behind you.
Yeah, the old. You're not trying to get gold out of me as well, are you?
No, I just think that, you lost your ship, you must be having a hard day.
Yeah, you could say that.
Alright.
You may not be aware, but a captain's ship is also her home and her possessions and her gold, her wealth, her way of making money, and everything in between. So, yeah. And she takes another big swig.
Did you at least store any of your gold on you? He didn't take it all from you, did he?
He's a pirate. They don't really make a living by letting you keep your valuables.
That's fair. Here, take this, and I just drop her 2 gold and then...
Yeah, she takes it and she's like, "That's very kind of you. I appreciate it.
Hopefully it'll get you somewhere to stay tonight at least.
It will, hopefully."
Just gonna drink it all away.
Lovely talking to you, and then I head on back to them.
Did you get me my drink?
As you say that, thunk, it's like tankard. He seems to just like almost be walking around with just full tankards ready to give to people.
Is this from the captain?
No, it's from the
No, from the
No,
gnome.
no, I said that to the gnome.
Oh. He's like, "No, you'll be paying for this one."
She owes me one.
I don't care. Unless she says, he's like whispering, he's like, "Unless she says to give it to you, then it's from you to you."
Just put 2 copper on the table.
Drops it into a mug. You can see he's got like a mug of a few coin as he's been delivering these drinks. But makes his way back over, tips it out. You hear it on the bar. This sort of like slosh of wet coins. So, what are you all staying here tonight? Or are you headed out?
Do you have rooms?
We've got a room. I mean, I can't give you a room, but you can stay in here. It's a little bit nicer than sleeping outside, I suppose.
You gotta stay somewhere else.
Worst comes to worst, it's an option.
There isn't many places to stay in Yalis. You may not have noticed on your way in, but this place is warehouses, this inn, and warehouses.
Is there stables?
No. Well, sort of. Some of the warehouses are big enough that they sort of have their own stables where they keep their horses, but there's not a public stables like you would find in Caladan, I suppose.
Do we have to pay or can I share?
No, it's fine. If you can find a dry spot on the floor that's not covered with ale and sick, by all means.
Well, I'll consider it.
Should we look somewhere else?
Probably.
It's a nice place, it's just filthy. So, a bit of time passes as you continue drinking, and a sort of tall human comes walking in. You can see he's dressed quite nicely in this sort of like blue get up, a big hat, big feather coming out the top of it. And he comes walking in, sort of spots Elizabeth sitting at the bar and sort of rolls his eyes, makes his way over. And you can hear there's sort of some chatter going on between them about what are your plans, come on the ship. You sort of overhear these bits and pieces. But they sort of have this almost argument conversation before eventually they both get up and leave. And by this time...
No, apparently not.
By this time, it's sort of getting towards evening. It's just you guys, along with maybe like half a dozen sailors who are still just having a drink.
Should we go looking for an inn or a ship to sleep on or something?
I mean, we can break into a warehouse.
Well, I guess that's an option. Probably better than this sticky floor.
Let's go.
Alright, cool. Get up, start walking around, see if we can find
Okay.
in a ship,
Yep.
an empty warehouse.
So you come out and you look off back down the sort of roadway-esque opening towards the shore, and you can see there's still the large ship that you came in on, along with a couple of other ships that seem to be anchored a little further out. And then along this sort of opening is various warehouses, and you can see, sort of like the gnome was saying, there's various sizes. There's some small ones that look like they're just almost a little shed, to some that look like there are a few buildings joined together with like a small pen with a couple of horses in them. And you can see over behind them there's another building which seems to be open for business, although you're not entirely sure what it is by looking at it.
Good idea.
Yeah, walk up to that shop.
You're coming with us?
Probably.
Yeah, she needs somewhere to stay too, I guess.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
Just don't sleep near me.
We'll see.
I was waiting for your dumb voice.
Like the one you drew at the start.
Like your dumb one for Garth in the first episode. Yeah, that's
First
right.
episode.
First episode with him.
Oh.
Where you were like, yes, brother.
That was a cool.
And then you will immediately abandon ship. So, you make your way over to this sort of long, thin building, and you can see there's a few windows that are like incredibly dark. Either it's dark inside or they're being boarded over. But you make your way up to the door, which seems to be open, or accessible at least.
I think it's a brothel.
Surely they have places to stay.
Well, you're not wrong.
Do you know what it is?
It's a warehouse, silly.
I'm gonna stop asking you questions. Do you know what it is?
No, don't.
Looks like a flammable building.
You're not wrong.
Is it closed door, open door?
It's closed.
No, that was in character. Just look at you again.
Knock, knock,
Strokes
knock.
her beard. There's no response.
Alright, let's go. Ladies first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You're up.
you, open,
I am.
you open it up, and the door swings open, and you can hear a bell ring when you go in, or as the door opens. But you step in, and immediately in front of you, there's a counter with like some pigeonholes and stuff behind it. And there doesn't seem to be anybody manning this room, but off to the side you can see there's another 2 doors, one to the left, one to the right. But there doesn't seem to be anybody in here at the moment.
Just keep ringing the bell.
Which room did we go into?
The one that wasn't a warehouse.
You can keep ringing the bell because I can't reach it.
No.
Just open, close the door.
Ding, 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 ding. About 5 minutes pass. Nobody comes out. What do you want to do?
I mean,
I don't think we're staying here tonight.
well, you say that, but the floor here's a lot better than in there.
There could be
We
beds
just
through
want to
that
keep
door.
going.
I mean, I don't know. Someone just walked into your room or your house. You want them to just knock on your door? Like, your room, I mean. Just gonna walk in the front door and knock on.
Put up. Go check the door.
I don't like invading people's privacy. So, no thank you.
Is anybody home?
A few seconds pass. You don't hear anything.
Poke my head through one of the doors on the side.
So you go up to it and you try. It's locked.
The other one.
Yeah.
The other one's locked as well.
Why don't we ask the people of this town what this place is?
Or we could just break in.
Or we could not break it.
Look, I'd rather not be a felon on my first night in town.
You're only a felon if you get caught.
I mean, you're not wrong, but
What a lineman are you?
Chaotic neutral.
The old do whatever the fuck I want.
I don't even know what I am. Should double check. Hey.
Would you look at that? I have some thieves' tools.
Duh.
It's alright, I just looked at my alignment.
What are you?
Lawful neutral.
Nice. I start.
Yeah,
People
I'll
opening
tell
the
you
door.
the stuff.
Yeah. You love good.
Lawful
I'll
good.
tell you better. You should put stuff.
Do you have a better idea?
We ask the town what this place actually is.
Walk on outside, so I'm like walking by.
There's like a couple of guys coming down the road, like probably 50 meters away, sort
We're not
of
gonna get off.
getting a cart together.
Most of them are
looks like
drunks
they're going to
and
be heading
passed
up
out.
this way.
So
And
it
you're
looks like they
breaking
are
in
heading
into it.
Yeah, looks like they're just sort of getting it ready to start heading
Sort
down.
of wait for them.
And
Yeah.
your point being?
Like maybe a minute passes or so before they start heading down. You can see they climb up onto this cart and start heading down past you just slowly. But they sort of come along and they sort of look over to you and
Now, excuse me, fellas. Do you happen
Hearing
to know
this
what this?
conversation, I back away from the door.
Do you happen to know what this establishment is?
they sort of look at you a little bit confused.
New to town, just trying to.
Oh, right. It's the Merchants Guild. I mean, it was the Merchants Guild at least. It's where they kept track of what was coming in and out of the town, or with the. Just call it a town. Goes the other one. Sure, the town.
That's of the DM. That's
Yeah.
the campaign.
What is it?
You're all fucks, and I'm gonna kill you all.
That's great.
He goes, I think Jeremy still lives in there, but he's probably down by the docks somewhere at the moment. I think he was seeing to that ship.
So it wouldn't be a
So,
place
yeah.
for me to sleep tonight then.
He might have room. I don't know.
Alright. Well, It was lovely meeting you.
Yeah.
Hey, what was it?
Head back in.
Head off. It was. I sort of been said a little bit, but he said it was the old Merchants Guild Hall.
Oh.
And then he just said that Jeremy lives there, but he didn't say what he did.
We could go find Jeremy down at the docks.
You sell things, don't you?
I make things.
Do you sell them?
I work with people that sell them.
So you're a merchant.
No, I'm a smith. I work with words. I work with merchants.
You're a merchant now.
Look at me. I am the merchant.
You sell things, right?
Sure.
Sounds good. You're a merchant. We can stay here.
What do you want to do?
I'm gonna go find Jeremy.
Yep. Let's do that.
Okay, so you make your way
I
back
follow
out.
hesitantly.
Make your way back out down towards the docks.
Should we do it the good old Joe Ball style?
You can see there's a couple of the boats that they like the rowboats that they came to shore with, and they're sort of loading up a few supplies, a couple of barrels, a couple of boxes, and some planks and various things. But you can see they're sort of stacking them up. A couple of the crew and a few of the sort of townsfolk that sort of you don't recognise off the ship.
I look for the wealthiest looking person.
Yeah, there's a guy sort of dressed in simple clothing, but he's not dirty like the rest of them. Doesn't look like he has been working per se. But yeah, he sort of stands out as that kind of character.
Walk over to him like, excuse me, I'm looking for Jeremy.
Well, you found him.
Nailed it. We were just walking around town and we found the old merchant's hall.
Yep.
Just we're told that we might be able to stay there the night if we were
Sort of.
if we asked you, if we were lucky enough, I guess.
He sort of hands off this sort of sheet of parchment to one of the other guys. He goes, yeah, you could do. I've got a little bit of room there. It's a big hall for just myself, so I could probably accommodate you. Is it the four of you?
Yeah, just the four of us, yeah.
Sure, we can manage that. I'll here. I've still got a lot to do, but I'll give you these keys. He sort of takes one off a ring of keys. He goes, "This will open the door on the right when you head in. You can make yourself comfortable in there."
Alright, great. And I'll pull out like a couple of silver and hand it to him.
Yeah. He just takes it. He's like, "Thanks. There's nothing in there, so you'll need to find your own food and drink and everything else. But there's a few cots that should keep you comfortable, I guess."
That was that so hard.
Head on back.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Jeremy looks like a bitch.
Are we out of earshot of Jeremy?
If you start making your way back, yeah.
Yeah. You really didn't need a key.
No, but it's polite to get the key.
So you make your way back in, and unlock the door, opening it out. It looks like it's almost a sort of barracks or hostel. There's a few cots, like 6 cots down a wall, and like a small like wood fire oven type thing. But there's nothing in here in terms of like food supplies or anything. It looks like he just keeps it for like people to stay kind of thing.
Do you get excited over seeing the oven?
I need to fix that.
What did it call?
Yeah. Why was that so funny?
Uncalled for things for today's Scott.
I don't get it.
Do you?
What? Do I what? What?
Get excited over the oven.
Why would I? It's not on fire.
It could be though. In fact, it probably should be, right?
Do you?
No, I don't.
Why is that such a thing?
Yeah,
I'm so confused.
Trying to work out why you both fire so much.
Okay, so what would you like to do? You don't really have any food with you. Do you want to just go without tonight, or are you going to seek out some food?
Yeah, what's the time there?
It's getting towards evening. It's probably around 6ish.
Yeah, we'll make a trip.
So there is some like split wood and kindling stacked up next to the stove that you could light that if you wanted to.
It's getting hot.
But otherwise, yeah, it's up to you what you want to do.
Is there anywhere that looks like they'd sell food? Like, I assume the dock area, you'd be able to buy some fish maybe. But
Yeah, there was definitely like a couple of small like fishing boats there. You didn't see anybody at them, but you get the sense that there probably is someone around. Alternatively,
We could steal
like
a boat.
it looked like the inn probably would do food if you asked him to, but you get the sense that it probably wouldn't be the best. But this place is very much like somewhere ships will pull in for a day. The sailors get pissed and then get back on the ship. Like, it's not a very accommodating place.
where do we want to go?
Where's the map?
Oh, we could eat that one place. We want to buy some fish or buy some shitty food from the inn.
No fish. Tacos.
I'm not vegan.
Stiff shit.
Are you being serious? Is this a thing that's happening?
Character traits. Negative trait.
Jeez, imagine that. A
Because
vegan,
I'm not helping you.
a vegan dwarf. I couldn't think of anything worse.
What about a non-binary vegan dwarf?
Get it.
MS.
Okay. What are you doing then?
Head on over to the docks, see if we can buy some fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what time of day is it? It'd be pretty good timing. You arrive and you can see there's a couple of boats coming in, actually. Excuse me. Waiting for them. Eventually, they sort of pull up into the docks. These are small, like one-person, like half-sail ships or half-sail boats, I should say. But they sort of pull in. You can see he's got a small crate of fish that he starts unloading. This old human man, and starts unloading them up onto the dock.
Taking one?
Probably buying it, yeah.
You're gonna get real poor if you keep buying shit.
You're gonna go to jail if you don't.
Yeah, I went to say it, but I stopped myself. The one thing you probably would have noticed after travelling like from the docks back and forth a little bit is there doesn't seem to be any guards here per se. A lot of the sailors do carry like a dagger or a saber or a short sword, but in terms of a proper security force, there doesn't seem to be one.
We could take the entire port. With fire.
Aside from the ship that you don't know much about, which is obviously some form of warship, which all the men on that do seem to be uniformed and armed.
So we were heading here in the first place.
Yeah, this is where you were headed to originally.
We were. This wasn't just a stop, was it? Like, were we going to go somewhere?
No, this
else?
is where you were arriving. This was your destination. I'm glad you paid attention during the 5-minute cutscene.
That was a lot of information.
Yeah, there was. It's almost like that was the purpose of it.
Could I get that on USB?
He's got one.
Research.
He bought one.
With some quality content.
Okay. What are you trying to buy fish? What are you...
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep. Just making sure you don't steal it.
You make your way over to this this old man. He sort of looks up here. Huh?
Just after some food.
And just behind him, I'm making the same face that he's making.
Yeah. I've got some I can spare, I suppose. You got some coin?
That's not hard.
Sure. How much you're after?
How much do you need? Silver each, probably?
Thanks for shouting, old lady.
you and him just having this weird.
I don't know. Do we only need enough for tonight, or?
Well, tomorrow if we need more tomorrow.
Keeps unloading this fish.
Yeah, look, we only really need enough for one day for the 4 of us, so.
Grabs like 4 fish by the tail, swings them up onto the deck that you're on.
Surely you'd
Make
be
it-
happy to give those to us for free.
Well, aren't you lovely?
Can I roll persuasion?
Sure.
This is not what I was expecting to happen.
Oh fuck, 7.
He seems kind of more open to deal with you than to anybody else.
Fuck.
What a rude man.
He's like, I'll give you yours for a few silver instead. For a few copper.
Yeah.
He's still holding out his hand.
Young laddie.
Young, he's like as old as you.
I'll stick on you.
Drop him 8 coin for my oil.
8 coin, 8 silver. What are you giving him?
How much was the fish?
It was a silver each.
Yeah, I'll drop him 1 silver then.
Okay.
How many copper?
5.
You
Yeah,
see
yeah.
the silver as well.
You have change for a gold?
Do I look like a fucking store to you? Why did his voice change? He's gone statement. I can't remember what his voice was. I got distracted by Tim.
My good looks?
Do I look like a store to you?
Well, you're selling things.
Because you're buying things.
Just say you don't have silver because you bought stuff with copper.
No, I stole copper.
Well then.
I'll take the gold for it, I suppose.
I don't think that's a fair trade.
Well, slams 1 fish back down. He's like, "There's your 3 fish."
We're really gonna have this argument?
Yeah.
Surely you've got change.
I'm a fisherman, not a merchant. I don't make my living sailing off the dock when I just get home. I give these to the warehouse, and then they pay me, and then I take my money home.
How much do they sell them for?
They don't sell them, they ship them off to other places that need fish. Like Ashbale, yeah?
Oh yeah. Can I borrow silver?
Just swap him for gold. Do a shitty exchange rate. Drop.
I open the fisherman's hand, put it in there. Just go, I'll be taking one of these now.
Isn't it like slightly smaller than the rest?
There you go.
Good chat.
You're gonna get yourself killed.
Goes back to unloading his shit. It looks like for an old guy who's been out there by himself, he's got about 4 or 5 crates of fish. Looks like he's done pretty well.
Man, you could probably kill him pretty easy and take all the fish and the boat.
How big is his boat?
It's only small. It's like a it probably, how big are they? I think they're like 5 meters long or so.
Fit 4 people?
Yeah, it would. It probably wouldn't be the most comfortable, but it would. And it's just got like a short single mast in the center of it, like a little, like maybe a 3 meter mast with a small sail. Of it.
What are you rolling for?
Nothing. 20.
Nah, you missed.
That's mine now.
Wasn't it yours anyway?
Probably.
Oh, I didn't roll it.
What do you want to do?
Lovely guy, wasn't he?
Swell fella.
12.
12, we're stealing
You're
the boat.
really bad.
Guess we go back and cook up their food.
Damn, wasn't a 12, we're not
Alright.
stealing the boat.
So you make your way back up. You get back, and Jeremy is actually sort of in there. You can see he's behind the counter now, sort of filling out some paperwork and like writing in a couple of large tomes. He sort of gives you a nod when you come in. He goes, "Trust you're satisfied."
That's a lot better than the inn, that's for sure.
Yeah, I try and keep it.
Feels just like home.
Good, good.
Must have shit home.
Yes.
That was our character.
Please make that in character.
Who is gonna be? Who's doing the cooking here?
Okay.
Sure.
Sure.
You all gonna have a crack, or are you two doing it?
Oh, I don't care.
Whatever. Somebody
How
can.
fresh is it?
Somebody. It's fresh as.
I just start
Fresh
sliding
as
into it.
bro.
It literally just
Okay.
I'll cook
for all
mine.
videos.
Sorry, I'll cook mine.
Okay.
Literally,
If-
they just start eating it.
So you can make a survival check if you're cooking it yourself, or if somebody's taking the lead, you can assist or
Yeah, fuck it, I'll do
whatever
it.
you would like to do.
21.
I really can't deal with this
That's
stool
true, I
tonight.
cooked it pretty decent.
15.
Please fuck it up.
20.
Okay.
Everyone cooked
So everyone,
pretty well.
everyone did pretty well. Yeah.
Mine's great.
You get a few.
Do you have like sharper teeth than normal? Or?
I don't think Ganassi do they? We do.
I mean, there's a thing that I have that makes me part something else. But
Dickhead.
do you know what I'm talking about, John?
Yeah. I just
Yeah.
haven't looked into it that much, but yeah, I did.
I don't know if that affects it or not.
Nah, you're fine. But yeah, you all do a pretty good job. A little bit disgusted by
Green rock.
Tordek. Tordek? Tordek. Granrick.
Ew!
Granrick. A little bit disgusted by Granrick eating this raw
You know, you-
fish.
If
Sort
you,
of-
eat it, if you eat it raw, you meant to at least like cut it and have a fillet.
Yeah, he's not even
Not just
preparing it.
Golem
you,
style.
you don't just
Yeah.
chomp on the head normally.
Juice splurting out the side.
Always done it.
Whatever. You,
Tastes
you,
pretty
you want
cool.
my head?
Green rock.
No. Shut up, you old hag.
Fire.
Awkward conversation and this awkward series of events just unfolds in front of you all. It's fine. So by the time you have a meal and sort of set up an area to sleep and everything else, it's probably getting on to around sort of 7, 8 in the evening. What you just anything you want to do, or are you headed to sleep, or
Is that a good idea?
Smoke weed every day.
No. I'll save it. It's gonna be cool as fuck though.
yeah?
Yeah.
Don't really know what you're talking about.
Need to know, but finding you unfortunate people to find out.
Okay. What do you want to do then?
Probably sleep.
Where are you heading?
Top Carl.
I'm off to caravan myself. What about you?
Didn't really have anywhere to go.
Found a ship and decided to spend 100 gold on it.
Came here looking for someone, and I haven't heard anything about them yet, so...
Well then how are you gonna find him if you haven't heard anything?
Haven't heard anything in Pole Colour yet. Is that better?
Nigel.
Probably not in the right place to hear stuff here. It's a small little shitty town, eh?
Hey.
You can say that again. Can I, come with you?
Sure thing.
Sounds good.
To be honest with you, I don't really know how to get there, so...
I have this map.
Well,
I have a map.
that would come in handy.
I mean, it's better than not knowing where to go.
That it is.
Yeah. Okay. So
And then sleep.
you all take a cot to yourselves and
what?
do whatever it is you would do. I don't really want to know.
I want to sharpen my weapons.
Yep.
And then sleep.
And now do extra 1d8.
I doubt it, but they are cleaner and look better than your weapons. Not that you have a weapon.
So
Can you have like a
it's
staff?
probably the most comfortable night's sleep you've had in a long time after being on the ship for a month or so, depending on where you've travelled from.
Extra temporary points.
And
Yes.
you awake in the morning
3 kills.
feeling pretty well rested compared to how you felt the last few days. But even though you get the sense that it's probably morning, you can hear some carts travelling back and forth outside. A faint little bit of sunlight breaks through some of the windows where they haven't been completely covered. But it's pretty dark in here just from the way it's all closed up. But you get the sense that it's morning and there are people travelling about, going about their business outside. The day is yours.
I think it's done. It's like 8 o'clock.
You could kick your ass.
Been holding on to that one.
Well,
What have you been doing with that sword down there, Scott?
are you still asleep?
Why would I still be asleep?
Because you're old. You need more
Yeah.
sleep.
Oh,
You actually need less sleep.
Not the point.
yeah, I'm awake before you.
Fuck all these fucking battle guards.
Okay.
Sorry, by the
Where are
way.
you heading off to?
Can't say. It's true.
Can we get that in character?
Can't say!
Can you let me drink first next time?
Shit.
And then, okay. Good job.
Yep.
Are you awake?
You say to him in character.
I'm looking at you and you say, are you awake?
Going to take that as a yes.
Scott's one of those people that falls asleep with his eyes open.
Where are you and your wife heading?
Say that one more time.
Oh, is she not your wife?
Starts picking through spells.
Do it, Scott. Slap him, then cast Sanctuary. Sanctuary. You can't attack or be attacked. So slap you and then you can't do anything.
I apologise for calling this old hag your wife then.
I can do much better than that!
I'm not too sure where I'm I am headed just up yet. Whereabouts are you going?
Where are we heading?
China.
Caliban.
That's where we're heading.
Sure. I'll stick along with you
But a
guys,
bit sore.
if you don't mind.
Well, I
For
twisted me back at work
As long as you
yesterday.
turned a blind eye to
Absolutely.
some
Fucking
things.
killing me.
I don't do that at work.
It's because you don't do anything at work.
We'll see.
No.
That's the point, you're not meant to.
Not meant to what?
Look, I'd rather if you didn't commit crimes. At least, not on people.
I just won't tell you about it.
They're not people if they're dead.
That's technically kind of true, but still.
We didn't know this was a person, this was a house to begin with.
Alright, let's roll it.
You can hear there's various
Let's get on a trade cart.
there's various conversations going on, which seems to be coming from just outside the door, like in the central area. You sort of hear Jeremy conversing with a couple of people, and then
What is it?
We're
The
dead.
It was the GoPro.
I thought it was a fucking bomb.
And occasionally,
You trying to kill us? I thought it was a joke.
occasionally the bell rings of the door as you hear it swing open and shut. But sorry, what do you want to do? What are you doing? Got a little bit distracted there.
Good question.
I showed you the map and so, well, we should probably head this way.
Ah, yes, I have great survival skill. It's upside down.
Well,
Solid start.
I actually have a +4 to survival, so.
Damn. I do not.
I do.
Well, it's one.
Looks
+4.
like we're heading west, but this map doesn't exactly have a scale to it, so not sure how long we'd be heading there for.
About 12 days.
No clue.
Nice.
Well, I feel like you're gonna
Please
fight that.
fucking stop whatever you are doing. You realise that's
Breathing.
A, shaking the table, and B, probably marking the table that I haven't yet sealed. What do you want to do?
Well, let's find a fast way there.
What fast travel? We haven't been there yet, so we can't fast.
There are enemies nearby.
You reckon we should get a cart, or you reckon boat would be faster? I don't know if a boat can go through that river or not, but
And where are we getting a boat from?
Well,
Unless you will turn a blind eye,
We're
we're
at a
not
dock.
getting a boat.
we could tag along.
surely it wouldn't
For the
be
horse and
100 gold to travel from here to there.
Oh, you mean pay for a boat?
Preferably, yeah. You can win one in a tournament of strength, maybe, but good luck with that. Not insulting your strength, but good luck with finding a tournament.
Nice.
I don't know how to take that.
I reckon I could beat you in tournament strength.
Did you have negative strength?
If this is a merchant town, surely there's a cart heading that way.
You say that as you hear this. One goes past the window as the horse sort of goes by. The clunky wooden wheels clanking along the dirt.
Well, go and ask.
I'll walk outside.
Okay, so you open the door out into the central room of this building, and you can see there's probably half a dozen guys in here, all sort of like, one of them sort of exchanging stuff with Jeremy, who sort of gives you a nod as you come out. But you can see he's sort of taking note in a ledger, and that guy sort of finishes up, takes a coin bag and heads out. And as you step out, you notice this town, this port, is bustling compared to how it was last night. It looks like this morning is when a lot of carts come in and pick up a lot of supplies, and vice versa, they drop them off as well. A lot of the warehouses currently have like various people working in them, taking in and out supplies. There's a couple of cranes lifting around heavy, large crates onto wagons. But every direction you look at the moment, there's wagons and carts of different shapes and sizes. But there's, just people sort of. It's not outrageously busy, but compared to what it was yesterday, it's very busy.
I step back inside, go up to Jeremy and ask, can you help us find a way to get to, what was it, Calavan? Calavan?
I could. I'm a little bit busy right now, but if you give me an hour or so to finish up these ledgers, I'd be happy to. I'm sure there'll be a supply run headed that way shortly.
I don't see a problem with that.
Let's find a quest in the meantime.
I don't know what this town has apart from the
Yeah.
one inn.
But you make your way out, and one of the most obvious things that's changed, apart from the people here, is that the large ship in the just off the coast is now gone. Looks like they've departed either early this morning or last night. And yeah, the inn isn't open at the moment. Looks like it doesn't open until a bit later. But yeah, there's people around, more than enough if you wanted to sort of seek out travel on your own. Otherwise, yeah, could hang out and wait.
Yeah, chill.
Well, I found us maybe a way. We have to wait now, though.
That's fine.
As you head out and start walking away from the building as well, you can see there's various people coming from the warehouses with like these large ledgers sort of headed towards where you were. Looks like even though it's the old guild hall, he still sort of maintains some sort of status here as sort of a merchant, like bookkeeper kind of thing.
Good old Jizza.
But yeah.
What do you want to do for the hour?
Well, backflips.
Go on.
No, you gotta.
You're
I'm
right.
later on the backflips.
Well, your lady should do a backflip. It'd be impressive.
It would be impressive. Be quite a high DC though.
I'd like to go to the docks and see if maybe there's some just hired work unloading a boat that I can do for an hour or something.
Yeah, sure. You make your way down. The docks are reasonably empty at the moment.
Damn.
As you make your way down, the sun is sort of just cresting up. It's a little past sunrise, but the glare is pretty strong off the water as you make your way down. But a lot of the fishing boats that were here are out at the moment. And like I say, the large ships left. There's still the two ships sort of out a little ways, and a couple of rowboats here pulled up onto the shore. But aside from that, there's not much actually going on the docks per se. Looks like a lot of it's happening more around the warehouses at the moment.
I got this map now.
I think fish are in the chat.
It's much easier to get them.
But as you're walking along, you can see some of the larger warehouses that are open at the moment. Like I was saying, there's a couple that have sort of cranes that are attached to the front of the building that are sort of rotating cargo in and out. But you can see some of them, like the large warehouses, have these large wagons that are sort of 3 or 4 wagons all put together, and then a set of like draft horses or bison sort of pulling them.
Is there a warehouse
Agatha Island.
that looks sort of small but kind of busier than the rest of the small ones?
Yeah, there is, coincidentally. One of the smaller ones seems to be looks like it probably has way more people working there than could actually be efficient because they're sort of in the way of each other. But yeah,
I'll just walk over and see what they're doing there. May as well explore the town.
That was past.
That's quick.
yeah. As you make your way over, you can see a couple of them sort of look over and sort of don't pay you much mind, but there's a guy sort of stood at the back of the warehouse who's sort of pointing things out. He goes, no, not that one. That one's going. No, wait, what number is on that?
Hold on.
Wait, you don't put that over there. You can see he's sort of frantically taking notes and trying to keep track of what's going where. But from what you can see, it appears to be like just various goods. There seems to be some fish that's being moved in and out, some meats, some like general cargo like kegs of ale and various things, some boxes that are all closed up. But it doesn't seem to be anything like one thing in particular. It seems to just be a sort of a bulk goods trader.
Yeah. I'm just gonna walk back to the guild.
Yeah, a little bit of time passes. Like there's these patches in between people coming in that you sort of get a moment. And he says, travel to Caliban. Luckily, that is where a lot of the traders head to. Let me have a look here. There is a large caravan heading to Caliban.
Caravan.
Early today, you might be able to catch them if they haven't left already. They may even put you on as guards if that was something that you were interested in.
That sounds good to me.
They're over in Warehouse 17. And this seems a little bit strange as there only appeared to be maybe 8 or 9 warehouses. He's like, it's just go out and past the inn and you'll see it's the large long warehouse on the other side of the inn. If it'll be recognisable by the caravan if it's still there. If not, there's perhaps a couple of smaller trips later today. Come back and see me if they're gone. We'll see what we can find.
Right, I'll sonic my way over.
Okay, so this old woman.
What's your speed?
Sonic travels at the speed of light.
I don't think that's true.
Rolling around at the speed of sound, not light.
Lol.
No.
Lol.
Supersonic.
Damn, you got the chaos influence.
Makes his
And
way
that was the
over.
extent of my sonic knowledge.
Yeah, making it as fast as I can.
Yeah, so you guys sort of hustle over and you get there and you do see this large caravan of maybe 3 wagons, all individual, not put together like the other ones you saw. And it looks like they're just closing up the warehouse, about to leave.
That sounded stopped anyone.
Fucking Skeletor.
That's alright.
With this sort of strange noise, the guy locking it up, who this halfling, what the fuck was that? Sort of gives you a curious look and goes back to like locking up the warehouse.
It was her.
Just sort of walk on over to him. I heard that you'd ignore her. She's a witch, probably.
Right.
I heard you were heading travel to Caliban.
Yeah, we're just about to leave, actually.
Would it be possible if we could come along? Maybe we could be guards or something if you need that, but...
Yeah, he sort of peers around, looks at each of you. What have you got weapon-wise, by the way? Are you
Mace.
mace and shield, or...?
Yeah, mace and shield.
Okay. And what have you got?
Fire.
Okay, so you don't have a physical weapon.
I got plenty of physical weapons. I have, if you'd like to know,
I'm so triggered.
I have a light crossbow, I have a euclid,
Classic.
a dagger, a hammer, another dagger, and a crowbar.
A crowbar?
Sure, so I'm going to assume you have a light crossbow, like, in your pack, maybe, and you're using this euclid as a
walking stick.
stick. Sure.
I have a long sword
Yeah.
and a crossbow.
Okay. He sort of looks around. He's like, "We are a little light on guards, I suppose. So if you can fight, you could come with us for free. You won't get paid, but I won't charge you anything either."
That sounds like a really good deal.
All right. Well, find a spot. He sort of gestures to like the caravans. There's 3. There's probably enough space like between them that you could each sort of get onto one of them. Maybe a couple on one, but.
I'll jump on the middle one.
We'll jump on the left one.
I jump on anyone that's not with her.
Yeah, you watch as Agatha sort of climbs up onto one as you're about to, and you're just like, nope. And go to the next one. Okay.
Does that mean I'm sitting with you?
So you were on the middle.
I'll sit with him.
You guys are on the back, and you're on the front.
Yeah.
So what's happening? Okay. So
I introduced myself to your character.
You've already told me.
Yeah, but I haven't actually told you my name or
that's
anything.
cool.
Big bump on
What's your name?
Granrick.
Green rock.
Green Rock.
Still have
Nice to
that
meet you.
aging
I'm
last name.
Tordic.
Tordic. No, no.
Pawned
You're
it.
not held right anymore.
Yeah, that sounds painful. I'll use that one later.
Okay, so the caravan starts heading out.
Do you realise if you go to my content, campaigns, there's this funny thing, review campaign. All the characters.
I'm gonna look at my book more.
So the caravan heads out onto what seems to be the main road. It's a pretty well-worn track. Mostly wagons have been going along here, so it's a very obvious wagon road. But it makes its way along, and after an hour or two, you lose sight of the port behind you, and make your way out into. Oh god. Oops, sorry. And make your way out into sort of the plains, or it's mostly plains along here. You can see in the distance there is various patches of trees and forests sort of at the edge of your eyesight. To your left, as you're making your way along though, looking back towards the south, you can see a large mountain range sort of just beyond the haze of the fog and that's shifting from the morning.
Is that where the dwarves
I
are?
can't wait till my next character.
We don't know.
Got no one cooked up.
Great.
But you can see, one point along that mountain range, there's this large standout mountain that sort of breaks away from all the others. It's almost twice the height of the others. Which, for those of you that were there, which was you, because you were the only one there, is you sort of get the feeling that that's where Tolnir pointed out Soon's Peak. But looking along, you can see just past that there's another large mountain, not quite as big, and then the range continues out of sight.
Is that the dwarf one?
But who's keeping watch for this initial stint?
I will.
If somebody wants to, we'll say make it with advantage, as somebody else can be assisting.
Yeah,
Good thing. 22.
Okay.
Yeah, you got very fucking lucky.
What was the
One
other
on
one?
the other die.
Oh, Jesus. You are now blind.
Granted, that was the second die, so I
So
normally roll my one that's slightly weighted to a 1.
Just roll it harder.
you make your way along, and about half the day passes as you make your way through this this open area before you start to get into sort of a denser tree line. The scattered trees become more and more dense until you almost find yourself on the border of a forest. And sort of just before you start getting into that, the caravan comes to a stop, and the caravan leader comes along and he says, "You're all new here. These guys are pretty well aware, but if anything was to happen, this forest is a pretty good ambush spot. We know a few caravans get hit here along the way, so if you're going to have your eyes open, now's the time, alright?"
What?
Do we just looking for other people or for goblins or any trolls, anything like
Pretty
that?
much anything through
Anything?
here.
Right.
Generally,
Dragons?
it's more bandits than anything else. The route along here is travelled enough that we don't get too many monsters like they do over on the east, on the west. Sorry, but it's a pretty. This is probably the most travelled spot between Caladan and anywhere of interest. So it's a real target for bandits. So
Banditos.
keep your eyes open.
Alright. Will do.
He goes back along and he's sort of just, you can see he's going along and sort of just making sure that nothing is readily accessible if somebody was to like run out and grab something kind of thing.
I actually keep an ear out.
Okay.
So how do these caravans, is it like a bit that goes up at the back, or is it flat?
No, so these are just like open wagons.
Yeah.
So they're just like flat wagons with like boxes and crates and stuff stacked on
So
top
I could
of them.
like sit at the end with my feet dangling.
Yeah, so you guys are basically just like
Yeah.
clambered up on top of them. But after he goes along and makes sure everything's alright, he climbs back up onto the first cart and sort of gets them moving again. And you guys head into the forest.
Oh,
And we die.
the video game, The Forest. We're gonna die.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's a fucked up game.
So,
we're gonna die.
you make your way in, and it's probably about an hour or two in, when you do notice up ahead something doesn't look quite right. It looks like a bunch of bushes and branches and such has all been pulled into one spot to make a bush. With your 22, you sort of notice a lot of this bush is not the same leaves. It's definitely not a natural bush. It looks like it's been made up. But it's probably 100 feet or so up ahead.
Sort of pointed out to him, so like, that's probably an ambush. I don't know if you want to stop and fight them or if you just want to go faster or something, but those leaves they're not natural.
He sort of takes a second and he looks up ahead and sort of lets out a whistle, and the caravan comes to a stop. And you can see up ahead with that roll, you sort of notice this sort of stirs something up ahead, because they obviously feel like something's not quite right. And you can see the bushes start to move a little bit. Make another perception for me.
Nat 20?
Okay, so
Plus 4.
So you sit there and you really focus and just lock in on this bunch of bushes, and you can see for just the split second through some of the trees, you see a couple of what appears to be people, at least humanoid, sort of run off. It looks like they've sort of abandoned the bush that they were camouflaged in, and they've like ran off deeper into the woods.
Looks like a couple of them have run off. I'd assume all of them, but I'll still keep my guard just in case.
We don't have an option. There's no other way to go. So, all right, keep your eyes open. He sort of shouts out. And he sort of lets out another whistle, and the caravans get going again.
Don't get away too much. Yeah.
As you come up to it, you sort of get close, and you can see a couple of his guys have these crossbows that they've sort of got drawn on the bush now that he sort of points it out to it as he gets up to it. But you sort of round it, and as you come around, you can see this has definitely been set up as a bit of a screen, and it looks like there was some people sort of like hiding behind it, but there's nobody there now.
Yeah.
Looks like when the caravan came to a stop, they jumped ship and decided it was a bad idea.
I'll just stick my Euclid out and knock it over as we roll past.
Okay, yeah, you reach out. It doesn't knock it over. It's like it's been built pretty well, but you sort of stab through, and like one of the branches falls off to the side.
Do I get experience with that?
Yep. You defeated a branch. 1 XP.
So this is a few, well, probably 7 or 8 hours in. Do you guys want to? Who's keeping watch for the second?
I'll keep it here.
Oh God, I want to kill you.
Who doesn't?
I'll listen out.
Yep. Okay. Make a perception.
Don't want to look.
No,
No, he doesn't have eyes.
get an advantage on hearing.
Just quite serious.
Fuck yeah. I hope something really cool. Did you roll fucking
8 and a 4.
Oh, I got fucking advantage so I can roll shit twice.
9.
9. Okay. Good to know. So you continue along.
Now roll once for actual vision.
So the
What was that?
15.
Yeah, shit.
His eyes are better than his ears.
you look over to Tordek. No. Which one's Tordek?
Torn dick.
God, fuck, every time.
What?
You said.
You look over to Granrick, and you can see he's sort of sat there on one of the crates, eyes closed, just really sort of focusing
Fuck
in.
you up.
But a little bit of time passes, and eventually the trees start to break up again, and you sort of make your way out of the dense part of the forest and back into some open plains. Up ahead, probably like right on the edge of your vision, you can see a stone bridge is coming up. Looks like this is the first river crossing. And you make your way along.
Probably
seeing...
still can't hear the water. But
and getting up to it,
That's what you fucking do it right now.
it's not my turn.
you could see there's two bridges that you have to cross. There's a first stone bridge and then another one about 100 feet along. As it's two rivers, it's sort of one of those dumb things where there's a main river and then it splits into two, and instead of building one bridge over the single bit, they built two, just to make it more difficult. But the caravan continues up and rumbles over the first bridge. When it comes up to the second one, there's this woof of flame across the stonework. It looks like oil had perhaps been poured across.
Sorry, guys.
I can't hear that.
Can't hear oil.
Close your eyes. There's fire. You can't fucking. You just walk into
No, I
it.
can't hear oil.
The sudden, I just realised I still have that going. That's fine. The sudden sprout of flame that appears across here isn't enough to sort of block passage per se, but it startles the first horses, which causes all sorts of problems in a caravan, as the horses behind have to be pulled up. But with this, you could see a couple of heads appear up the side of this bridge and let out a few crossbow arrows. One of them flies by overhead. The other one thuds into the caravan leader, and he takes it into the shoulder. And he sort of lets out a whistle. He goes, "Protect the caravan!" And everyone can roll initiative.
Or we'll just leave it for next week.
That's a very good point, because I didn't realise what time it is.
And we can have
Yeah,
a
that's
cam.
Let's let the next week.
Yeah, and we do
Just
need
roll
Matt
one.
Cam as well. So yeah.
Scott's got one initiative.
So yeah, we'll leave it there, and we'll come back next week and
I
do
rolled
this.
that.
Nice effort.
And hopefully next week everything might fucking work if I'm lucky. So thank you for watching. If you've been here from the start, thank you for putting up with it. Well, no, not if you've been here from the start. The second half of this was fine. It was just the first like half hour that was a brutal fuckfest of disaster. But anyway,
Did Catwap swing by?
these things happen. Catwap did swing by, and not only did he swing by, he cheered 100 bits. So
Oh, nice.
thanks, Catwap.
Fuck yeah, Cat.
Maddie was here as well earlier. I don't know if she's still here. She said, "Take the copper off." Oh, take the copper off the table. I get what that means now. I just had to think about it in a different way.
Yeah,
I thought she
okay.
meant this table. I was like, "What copper? What the fuck is she talking about?"
No, I did take the copper.
Yes.
You thief.
So,
Yes.
hopefully next
Little
week.
illegal boy.
So
Yes.
again, I mean, people don't care, but I feel like I need to explain. But anyway,
Rap
I don't know.
Project, YouTube, /
No, it's not what I was going to say. I mean, that is what I was going to say, but that's not what I was going to say.
People should care
No, all I
about
was going to
that.
say is this was a bit of a disaster, as everything ended up being a big rush, so things didn't get finished. But next week,
Guys, you
hopefully,
have months to play for this.
everything.
Yeah, they did.
Hopefully, everything next week will. I fucking hate you so much. Okay, shut up for a minute, you assholes. Hopefully, everything next week will be all set up and look fine. Because I've got some new overlays. We do have, now that I have everyone's character, because they decided to send them to me yesterday, I can do the character.
in there for months.
I can do the character overlay so you can see everyone's stats and stuff, which will be great. The cameras will hopefully be working and not lagging out like fuck. The good cameras will be back. The microphones will be replaced properly, and this overhead rigging will hopefully not fall down. It's reasonably stable. It's fine. Don't touch it.
If that fucking falls over, he's actually gonna kill
No,
you.
I wasn't shaking it that much.
Yeah, it was good.
Let's wake.
It's fine. It needs a little bit more work. But anyway, long story short, it's
This
fine.
big
It's
green
getting there. So sorry for the fact that it was a bit of a mess to begin with. But anyway,
No, it's alright. Off you go.
it's fine. We're getting there. So, yes, if you caught this live, check out the Rat Project's YouTube channel, which is linked down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out the Twitch channel that's linked up above somewhere. Also,
Spice new content coming soon.
yeah, so I think depending on how quickly I can get it edited, there should be a new series of Tim and mine going up tonight or tomorrow.
The mad shuckers.
This campaign will be going up properly on, I think, Sundays. And there's some other bits and pieces happening as well soon. What?
What?
I thought you wanted to ask something.
That's what I thought. I was confused.
No, I was just pointing at you.
And as always, if you want to keep up to date and talk about this or anything else, use *Discord in the chat to get a link, and then you can join the Discord and talk bullshit in there.
Disco.
Because that's the best place to keep up to date. Aside from that, that's it. I think that's everything.
We should start a recording or something.
To it.
Yeah, internet first.
No, we record.
Yeah, it's fine. Alright, anyway, that's it. We're done. Thank you for watching.
Just record. And then you can learn how to video it.
And we'll be back next week to dive in to more of this.
Die.
Do a fun fully naked Dark Souls 3.
Oh yeah,
I
and
like that wouldn't be
Why are you going to play the game?
we'll have Map Cam
Oh, no.
back next week as well.
Yeah, we're talking about characters.
Map Cam and maps and all sorts of fun stuff. Alright, we're done. I'm gone. Alright,
Whole
thanks. Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.